We're gonna call this evening meeting to order. Roll call.
Suarez, Cohen, Maniscalco, Capine,
Present.
Miranda, Vieira, and Reddick.
Here, let the records show that, reflect that we have a memo from Mr. Cohen that he will be absent at this evening meeting. So, did you need this? All right, we got first item we're dealing with is the Finance Committee resolution. Ms. Capine.
Oh, really? I have it?
Mr. Chairman, if you want a presentation, I believe Ms. Little's here. If you want.
Ms. Little didn't raise her hand that she want to talk.
Oh. Let me see, there is, okay.
Mr. Chairman, Council Member Sonia Little, Revenue and Finance. Good afternoon, good evening. Last night, we delivered hot off the printer to your inboxes the City of Tampa's annual comprehensive financial statements for FY 2018 as audited by our external auditors. As you're aware, we're required by Florida statutes, the city charter, as well as the state auditor general rules to prepare and submit an annual audit. And primarily the audit provides to you all of the transactions that took place, all the revenues in, all the revenues out, all of the city's capital purchases, everything related to financial transactions within the city for the FY 2018, beginning September 30th through October 1 through September 30 of 2018. Our external auditors, RSM, start the process November of 2018 for the year that we just closed out. They request data starting in November and December. They actually have auditors, external auditors, embedded in our offices for approximately 1 month, pouring through and collecting data, testing data, checking all of the city's debits, credits, all of our journal entries, gathering information from our departments, and a big thank you to our departments who help facilitate this, and our revenue and finance team of accountants and budget analysts who work so hard to put this annual report together. We will, as we always do, submit our CAFR, the acronym for the financial statements, to the Government Finance Officers Association, which is a national and Canadian organization that they review governmental financial reporting. We have consistently received a certificate of excellence in reporting, and we hope to and think very strongly that we will again. But just to give you a couple of highlights, if I may, as it relates to this CAFR, management's responsibility obviously is to prepare a fair presentation of the financial statements, and that's in accordance with principles of generally accepted accounting rules of the United States, and that includes the design, the implementation, and maintenance of internal controls. So a large portion of the audit is to assure that we have internal controls in place within the city for all our financial transactions to mitigate and erase fraud and error. The auditor's responsibility is to express the opinions on the financial statements that their audit was conducted in accordance with the auditing standards generally accepted in the U.S. and applicable governmental auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the U.S. And they plan and perform an audit to obtain reasonable assurance that our financial statements are free from material misstatements. So I take great pride every year when we bring the audit to you to report that we again received an unmodified audit. And basically, what that means is that our external auditors, with their independent review of our financial statements for the fiscal year, they they've opined that they were not restricted anyway as far as being limited in their scope of services as required under the guidelines that I mentioned previously, and that they found no need to describe any major issues related to the city's financial reporting. Basically, if I may, just put 2 slides up, Mr. Chairman. On the Elmo, I thought that it might be helpful just to share with you just some very, very brief highlights. Basically, just to cut straight to the chase, if I may, what council frequently wants to hear is how did we end the year as far as our fund balance is concerned. And for the general fund, our total fund balance increased $11.1 million. It's up from $113.2 million in FY17 to $124 million, and that was primarily due to an increase in property tax revenues. And we're pleased to say that in FY18, if you'll recall, as a result of Hurricane Irma, we had to tap our emergency fund. We were able to replenish that fund and bring it back to its original balance of $7.6 million. And also our goal of rebuilding as our budget increases, increasing the amount of our reserves so that we exceed our 20% minimum policy. So we were able to do that in FY18, and the audited financial statements support that performance. And then finally, I was just speaking from slide number 3 in your packet, and then slide number 4 in your packet lists the audit results. This is what the auditors communicated to us in our exit interview, where the Revenue and Finance Chairman, Councilman Cohen, was in attendance. And the audit results were, again, we received an unmodified opinion. The internal controls over the reporting period received no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, no non-compliance material to financial statements were noted. And then our single audit that we're also required to prepare because the City of Tampa receives state and federal grants. So the Single Audit Act requires that our auditors also review our reporting efforts. We did receive overall no material weaknesses identified by the auditor, but I do want to point out that we received one significant deficiency because we had, through our housing department, 2 late filings for housing reports. Had nothing to do with money or anything, but it was two late filings. So we did receive a ding in our single audit for that. The auditors furthermore communicated that they encountered no disagreements with management over our application of accounting principles, did not encounter any significant difficulties in dealing with management, nor did they receive, they also reported that they did receive full cooperation from management and full access to the books and records. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to entertain any questions, but as we do every year, we're respectfully requesting that City Council receive and file. We have already posted, as we're required to do under our continuing disclosure requirements, the CAFR to the repositories for our investors and stakeholders.
Council, any comments from council? Any questions? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, before the resolution is moved, I know it's really procedural in nature, but if you would ask if there's anybody who would like to speak to it. I don't believe there is, but just for the purposes of the record.
keep saying to you, allow me to get round to doing what I want to do.
Oh, I'm sorry, because it wasn't set for a public hearing. I apologize, sir.
I'm just gonna do that anyway. All right. Anyone in the public who would like to make any comment pertaining to item number 1, please come forward. All right.
Chair, can I just ask one question?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You mentioned about the, Ms. Little, you mentioned about the significant deficiency identified was the 2 late filings for the housing reports for home and chip programs. What were they specifically? What were the, why were they late filings, or what was the reason for the filing being
One
late?
of them was a schedule that is required to be reported. The city annually has to report an annual report. That was filed timely, but the supplementals were not filed timely. And one of the reports primarily had to do with demographics on usage of the money.
So it's 2 supplementals that were filed?
Correct.
And now, was it because of a change of federal requirements or state requirements and all? Or was it just because we missed the?
The department missed the deadline.
Okay.
And we have implemented additional controls to assure that that won't happen again.
Yeah, I was just curious, because I know sometimes we get late filings primarily because of changes in law.
Yes.
And not because of anything that we did, but in this case, it was an oversight on our part.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, I
That's
appreciate it.
correct. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, any other question or comment from council?
Comment on
Mr.
Ms.
Miranda?
Little. Every year she does an outstanding job, her and her staff, and I want to comment. Thank you for the work you do for the citizens.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, we got a resolution before us.
Do I need to read the title or the entire?
No, just-
No, nothing, just
Move the
move
resolution.
the resolution.
Second.
All right, we got a motion from Ms. Payne, second by Ms. Maniscalco, to move the resolution. All those in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. We go to item number 2.
Good evening, council members. David Hay with your Planning Commission staff. The next item is an adoption hearing for TA CPA 18.
Excuse me, Mr. Hay,
Sorry.
we need to take a 5-minute break because the Elmo just broke.
Okay.
And they need to repair.
Thank you.
So we'll stand in recess for 5 minutes. Thank you. right, we're gonna resume this evening meeting and roll call.
Suarez. Cohen. Maniscalco. Capeen. Miranda. Vieira. And Reddick.
Here. Before we get started, we need a motion to open up the public hearing. All right, got a motion from Ms. Maniscalco, second by Mr. Vieira. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, item number 2.
Good afternoon, council members. David Hay again with your Planning Commission staff. The next item for your review is it's an adoption hearing for TA CPA 1814. If you remember during the transmittal hearing back on January 31st, this is the Middleton High School site. Currently, it has a whole number of different categories from residential 10, transitional use 24, there's community commercial 35, there's I think 5 or 6 different categories on it. This publicly initiated amendment seeks to unify the site under the quasi-public future land use category. It is, again, the site of Middleton High School. It is owned by the school board. This amendment, when you transmitted it on January 31st, it went to the state for review. They have provided their response back. They had no comments regarding this request. So that concludes my short presentation. I'm available if you have any questions or anything.
All right, any questions from council? Okay, anyone public wish to speak on item number 2?
Second.
All right, got a motion from Mr. Maniscalco, second by Mr. Miranda. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Mr. Suarez.
Thank you, Chair. I present an ordinance for first reading consideration, an ordinance amending the Tampa Comprehensive Plan future land use element, future land use map for the property located at 4801 North 22nd Street from Community Commercial 35, CC 35, Community Mixed Use 35, CMU 35, Residential 10, R10, Residential 35, R35, Residential 50, R50, Right-of-Way and Transitional Use 24, TU 24, to public, semi-public, P/SP, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
All right, got a motion from Mr. Suarez, seconded by Mr. Vieira. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
The motion carried. Second reading and adoption would be on April 18th at 9:30 a.m.
All right, item number 3 is at 5:30, and we got 1 minute before we can do it. So,
Good evening, Council. I'm Kiana Daughtry from the Housing and Community Development.
we
Sorry. Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's
Oh.
scheduled for 5:30. It's 5:29. Now, you want to entertain us for 1 minute.
Sure, I'll dance for you.
Good song is always
Open here. Chairman, move to open 5:30 here. Second.
Okay, got a motion from Mr. Miranda, seconded by Mr. Maniscalco. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Good evening, Council. I'm Kiana Daughtry from the Housing and Community Development Division, and we're here this evening just to go over the annual action plan. This is the first public hearing that we're required to have throughout the year. The purpose of the action plan and the presentation overview I should start with is the action plan's purpose, the funding that we anticipate receiving in 2019 year, our priorities, and then the public input that's required. So as far as the action plan is concerned, it serves as a summary of the actions and the plans and programs that we plan to carry out throughout the year. We kick off with our release of our RFP, and as we do the RFP, we're in development of this plan. So it covers several or all of the federal funds that we receive. Can you bring that down just a little bit? So one of the first ones is the Community Development Block Program, which all of the programs are required to serve low-income individuals and families that are in our community and within our jurisdiction. So we have the CDBG program, and then we have the home program, and we use these programs for various services such as owner-occupied rehab, some new infill construction that we have going on. Then we have programs such as the Emergency Solutions Grant, which is specifically for homeless services, and we use that in our community to provide shelter operation dollars as well as rapid rehousing. And then we oversee 4 counties in the HOPWA program, which stands for Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS or HIV, excuse me. And the 4 counties that we oversee with that are Hillsborough, Hernando, Pasco, and Pinellas. So as far as priority needs, in the past we've gone over these being our current needs. However, we are going to be doing outreach this year for this action plan process. And I'll talk about that survey that will go over those things. But some of the priority needs that we already as a staff have identified and know are needed are what you see before you now. So the funding that you see that's listed here in this slide is actually the same funding that we received this current year. We have not yet received our allocation from HUD, but as normal, we have to proceed as normal or otherwise we'll be late in turning in our action plan. So we're just anticipating hopefully at least receiving the same funding that we've received in the past and nothing less is our hope. Absolutely.
Now, could you, yeah, I want to go back to the estimated funding awards. Okay, obviously that is the exact number that we had last year. Any indication from either Congresswoman Castor's office or from either the U.S. senators about what those dollars are going to be like at all?
The only thing that we know for sure is that our budget has been restored in the sense that we're not completely cut out, which was the initial proposal, but we do not have any idea what our actual estimate is going to be.
Do you know when the real numbers are supposed to be coming through?
Last year, I think we got them like very late. It was very end of March, and obviously we're already at the end of March.
Right.
So hopefully next month we'll get them. But as normal, they're always telling us just act business as normal when we speak to our HUD representatives. So we're doing that. So we would not sign any agreements until we know for sure that the city is receiving funding.
Are we going to have to come back with another public hearing to look at the numbers themselves? Because obviously we're essentially, I guess, you're asking for a blank check until we get the money.
So right now, what we're just doing is opening the fact that we have to do the process of the action plan, and later on in the year, we'll come back to council to adopt the action plan, which will document the actual numbers, and that has to be before April 15th. So as we've mapped out our dates already, we will come back to you, I believe, in July to actually have you to adopt the action plan so that we can send it in for the April 15th due date.
So this
August 15th, excuse me, I'm sorry.
If everything goes well, this council will pass the resolution for you to go forward, and then a new council will approve whatever those particular numbers are.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, any other questions from council? Okay, continue.
So our calendar of events, it starts off with the fact that we have the first public hearing. We've already released the first RFP. This year, our RFP includes CDBG, public service, and housing counseling, along with a CHODO application, which is under the HOME program, and CHODO stands for Community Housing Development Organization. We will be holding technical assistance workshops next week. This also went out in the public notice that was for this hearing as well. The RFA submission deadline is April 26th, and the proposals will be reviewed the week of May 6th through 10th. And then we plan to, like I already mentioned through our process that we've mapped our dates, May 23rd would be our second public hearing that we'd come before you and let you know who was successful in that process. And then on July 18th, we would come back through regular council meeting to adopt the actual action plan for submission on August the 15th. And then on October 1, our new year would begin, and it would go October 1, 2019 through September 30th, 2020. Anything on the dates?
Where is these,
I'm sorry?
the workshops,
Yes, sir.
where are they held at?
It's going to be at the Children's Board, and through our release of the RFA and the public hearing, we noted that, and they are Tuesday, April 2nd, from 9 to 12, and there are various ones for each one of the funding sources and the applications that were released, and we also do them a second time so that people have a good opportunity to attend. So the second one would be April the 4th in the afternoon from 1 to 4.
how is the public informed of these workshops?
So the very next slide actually explains that.
Okay.
We use Alert Tampa to actually get our information out there. We encourage anyone that we've worked with previously and anyone who contacts us throughout the year to sign up for Alert Tampa. So we did send an alert out for both of the 2 RFPs that I've mentioned for CDBG as well as for home. And so they're made aware that way, and we send a courtesy email. We also have to advertise it in the newspaper, which was done by way of the publication for the notice for this public hearing. So our website, just to take a quick look at that, it has a host of different resources on it. It goes through each one of the funding sources. We even have a site that's for contractors, which is not necessarily related to this right now. But there is information. If you click on the CDBG program, for example, it gives a definition of the program, the regulations, and what types of things it can fund. And it does the same thing for all of the programs. Additionally, on the website, if you were to click on each program, you'll also see a listing of who we're currently funding, at what amount they're funded, and it has there a link to their website and their phone number in the event that you're looking for their services. As I mentioned before, we're also responsible for making sure that we have citizen participation. We wouldn't want to just go and implement services that are not needed. So we do have to do outreach. We do for minorities, low income, those who are non-English speaking, and we make sure that we also outreach to people who have different disabilities as well. We are going to ask for more. We're starting now with asking for public feedback, but then we'll also go into the public comment period when we meet with you the next time. That would open up the 30-day comment period. Go ahead. So essentially the question we're asking is, what do you think are the most pressing needs in the city of Tampa? So that would go across the host of services that we're currently advertising the RFP for. So for example, with public services, if you're telling us that we need more blind services as an example, we would actually try to make sure that we have someone in that bunch and take priority over like funding them. The other thing is that it has to be within our con plan that we've already outlined to HUD, so it has to be an approved activity already that we've submitted. And this is just a quick view of what the actual survey looks like, and as a result of tonight, we actually have some of those available, and they're also posted on our website that we showed you earlier. So we will be collecting these back, and they're actually collecting until June 15th, which is actually on the next slide. So again, they're due by June 15th. Any comments that are emailed in also can go to Vanessa McCleary at tampagov.net. She is the HCD manager, and she will actually vet them. Public comments are required to be included in our action plan. It's towards the end, and it's one of the actual attachments if we receive any. If we don't receive any, then we actually have to put something in that says that none were received. Again, this is Alert Tampa, and it actually walks people through on our website how to sign up for those alerts that I mentioned earlier. So that is the very first thing that you would open up to if you went to tampagov.net / the letters HCD for Housing and Community Development. That is the first thing that people see, is how to sign up and find out more about what we do. And that's the end of my presentation.
Let me ask you one final question.
Yes, sir.
At these workshops, what type of attendance turnout do you get from the community?
It depends. Public service is usually highly attended. We might have as many as 15 to 20 different nonprofits in attendance. CHODO is a little more specified in terms of the type of organization that can actually apply to become a CHODO. So it may be like 4 or 5 organizations. So it just kind of depends on what it is that we're actually soliciting in terms of an application as to how many attend. We make sure that our rooms are set up for up to 40 attendees on both occasions. And then like I mentioned, we try to do a morning and an afternoon and 2 opportunities to attend so that there's no exclusion and people have a good opportunity to attend.
Okay.
They are public meetings also.
All right. Any other questions from council? Anything else?
No, sir.
All right, well, we thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our next block starts at 6 o'clock. We got 20 minutes. So we gonna stand in recess at 20 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. with regard to this, I don't know whether you took the opportunity to ask if anybody needed to speak. It was set for a public hearing. Did you ask, before the presentation, you asked if anybody wanted to speak?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. I didn't hear that. Was there, do you have that,
You
Jim?
can always ask again.
Anyone, just to clear things up, anyone wish to speak on item number 3, the presentation you just heard, please come forward.
I see no one. A motion to close, please.
So moved, close. All right, got a motion from Mr. Maniscalco, second by Ms. Capino. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we stand in recess for 19 minutes. All right, we're getting ready to call this meeting back to order. Roll call.
Suarez, Cohen, Maniscalco, Capine, Miranda,
Here.
Vieira, and Reddick.
Here. Can we
Chair.
get a motion to open?
Move to open 4 through 7.
Second.
Mr.
All right,
Chairman.
got a motion from Ms. Miranda, second by Mr. Suarez. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, item number 4.
We have to swear in. I haven't been sworn.
Matter of fact, anyone planning on speaking on item 4 through 7, please stand to be sworn. 4 through 7.
Do you swear or affirm you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you for reminding us.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Council. Ryan Manassi, Land Development Coordination. Item number 4 is for petition AB 2-1901, located at 2320 through 2348 West Columbus Drive. The current zoning on the property is CI, and the future land use is CC 35. The Development Review and Compliance staff has reviewed the application and finds it inconsistent with applicable City of Tampa land development regulations. Minor corrections to the site plan will be required between first and second reading should you approve first reading. The petition before you is requesting a special use approval to allow the sale of alcoholic beverages for a large venue, beer and wine consumption on premises, and package sales off-premise consumption. The proposed uses are restaurant, assembly, minor vehicle repair, and warehouse. The proposed uses will require permitting through construction services where building and fire will calculate for the overall occupancy for the entire site. Historic records show the current use on the property as retail restaurant, which is 10 seats or less, and minor vehicle repair. The total AB sales area is 8,489 square feet, which contains 2,869 square feet indoor and 5,620 square feet outdoor. The required parking for the proposed uses are restaurant is occupancy multiplied by 0.25, which was calculated out to be 32 spaces. Assembly, which is 10 square feet per person multiplied by 0.3, it came out to 177 spaces. Warehouse is 1 parking space per employee on the largest shift. That calculation came out to 1 space. And minor vehicle repair is 2 spaces per repair bay plus 1 employee, and that was 3 spaces. The total required parking for the site is 213 spaces. The property is within the West Tampa Urban Village, and the distance separation requirement is 250 feet from other AB sales establishments. Also, the property is located within the West Tampa Overlay District and will be subject to 27-241 at a time of permitting. The proposed hours of operation are listed on the site plan as Monday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. The site plan states the sales area should not be located within the parking or loading area or space, no amplified music, and that all permits issued after April 1st, 2011 shall be kept on site, a copy of the adopted ordinance and associated site plan, which is for the alcohol beverage sales permit. The waivers before you tonight come from section 27-283-12J, and that's to allow the commercial traffic access to the local street. West St. Joseph Street is a local street. 27-283.7, and that's to reduce the required number of parking spaces from 213 to 17. That's a 92% reduction in parking. Section 27-283.12H1, and that's to allow the maneuvering in the right-of-way for the parking spaces. 27-283.12 is to allow the reduction in aisle width from 24 feet to 0 feet. And 27-132 is to reduce the required distance separation to other AB sales establishments from 250 feet to 140 feet. General planning and transit findings found that Hart Route 15 typically runs weekdays from 5 a.m. to 10:47 p.m. and weekends from 6 a.m. to 10:45 p.m. The property, again, is located in the West Tampa Overlay District and is subject to 27241. Land Development did find it inconsistent due to the 27132 distance separation requirement for other AB sales establishments, as well as the parking reduction from 27283.7, the 92% reduction. Transportation found it inconsistent as well for 2728312J, it's commercial traffic access to local street. Section 27283.7, the reduction of required number of parking spaces from 213 to 17, which is again the 92% reduction. And then section 2728312H1, maneuvering in the right-of-way for parking spaces. And section 2728312, the reduction aisle width from 24 feet to 0 feet. The closest AB sales establishment that was listed in for one of these waivers is at 3000 North Armenia Avenue. It's zone CI, it's a bar lounge with beer, wine, liquor, consumption on premise and package sales off premise consumption, and it's at 140 feet. The location shown on the map is outlined in red with CI zoning around the majority of it. The closest alcohol establishment is going to be on this catty corner to it. The top picture shows the subject property along Columbus, that'd be the front, and then this is the side of the property along Armenia. Top picture is the rear of the side next to Armenia, and this is the rear on St. Joseph Street. Top picture is 2807 North Armenia, that's the southern neighbor, that's south of St. Joseph Street. 28813 West Columbus is the neighbor to the east, this is the rear picture. 2903 North Armenia, again, the neighbor to the south before St. Joseph's. This is across the street of Armenia, just to give you an idea of the area. 2502 is directly west of it, and this is the front of the neighbor to the east. Staff has provided a marked up site plan as well as the correction stated in the staff report. That will be required if approved on first reading, and TPD had no objections to the special use request. Staff is available for questions that you may have.
All right, any questions from council? All right, okay.
So you said historically this had been a restaurant use previously, not that whole section though that's being asked for rezoning, correct?
Correct, sir. The established historical records show the restaurant 10 seats or less. They're historical records, so they're not, the clearest as far as the site plan. I can kind of show you on the site plan where.
If you could, that'd be great.
So the takeout restaurant is in this portion, so that has to be 10 seats or less. And then the minor vehicle repair is what we would recognize as the last uses on the property. The rest of these uses that are listed in this report do need to go through permitting, and it would be determined for total occupancy on the site. Okay. Staff determined parking, the requirement for the parking as it relates to the waiver, because it wouldn't be able to make it through permitting without that waiver.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
All right, okay, anyone else?
Yes, it's 5,620 square outdoor, what I have here. And then it says sales, it says on the night, on the agenda, it says, commensurate with, chapter 14, but on here, it has Monday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. So I'm looking for it on the site plan to see what the hours are.
The hours were stated by the applicant, and they would be required to be put on the site plan. For a large venue, it listed in section 27-132 that you have to list the hours of operation for the large venue.
So it's chapter 14.
Those hours would be,
Then what's gonna be on the site plan is chapter 14. The hours, it doesn't matter what hours they open as long as it's chapter 14. In other words,
if it's not listed on the site plan, it could be added to between first and second reading.
we don't want the hours, if we put these hours on the site plan, these hours stay with the property. What it says on the agenda is that it's, wait a minute, hold on one second, I was just looking at it. 1 second. You have over here. It says, proposed AB sales hours consistent with chapter 14. Chapter 14 is a set of hours. You can open any time within those hours. So on the site plan, should be chapter 14, not, or the hours of chapter 14, but not these hours. To put these hours on the site plan, that's the hours that go with the land. So that's not chapter 14, that's a whole different
Correct, those are
story.
listed, those would be listed hours, and that's what they stated that the hours of operation would be. The applicant could comment whether or not they'd be inclined to change that to consistent with chapter 14 between first and second reading. Staff wouldn't have an
Okay,
objection
so
to
why
that.
does it have AB sales hours consistent with chapter 14? And then on the site, and then on the report, it has different hours, sales hours.
Well, the report was because the hours weren't listed originally, and under a large venue in chapter 27, or section 27-132, it states for a large venue, the hours of operation need to be listed.
So chapter 14 has the hours of
I under-
operation.
Yes. Well, if they stay consistent with chapter
Well, then they
14.
need to, then they need to state them consistent with chapter 14. If that's what is on here, that's what it says they propose the hours to be.
I can make sure that note would be added between first and second reading. I'll make that annotation.
Okay, thank you. And, I was looking for, this is a huge outdoor, area. The amplified music, is that, consistent with what we
The site
allow?
plan states
That I didn't.
specifically, it states no amplified music.
Specific,
The applicant put that under note number 6, no amplified music specifically.
there it is, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, that's it for me.
Okay, any other questions? Applicant?
You have to swear in. Yes, swear in.
Sworn in? Mr.
I
Chairman?
was not sworn in.
Well, before you do this, anybody else with you gonna talk? Because you sat there when we asked anybody that wasn't sworn to stand up. Now, if you're gonna talk or you think you're gonna talk, then you need to stand up and be sworn in. We're not gonna go through this all night.
For all the hearings.
Sorry, I apologize.
Do you swear or affirm you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, this location here, in the past, was used for tire storage. And for many years, we received a lot of complaint from the neighborhood that the mosquitoes were really bothering them. So after so many complaints to us, we decided that we will remove all the tires out of the premises, which we did. We put it in the location of the tire store. We took away all the tires that were exposed to the open field. And then we got together.
Can we have your name for the record?
Yes, I'm Julian Perez, I'm the applicant.
Okay.
Thank you. And then I decided that the location there was such a good location to be wasted. And I got together with some other members, which they are here today, and we say, what shall we do with this location? And then we decided, as being previously involved with boxing and with the ex-champion that passed away, unfortunately, Hector Macho Camacho, we decided that we will open a camp of boxing teaching in his memory, to keep his memory alive. And we all agreed together, and that's what we did. We have here a couple individuals. Altogether, at this point in time, we have 45 members, outstanding member, and in between them, we have 2 state champions already, Florida State champions, and it's really growing a lot. And the neighborhood is very happy. They have expressed to be very happy with the situation. And when I presented this to the city of Tampa, some personnel of the co-enforcement department say, well, why don't you get the beer and wine license so that you can help with the founding of the nonprofit organization. And it sounded to me like a good idea. And at that point in time, we decided to do it. So here I am requesting wholeheartedly that this license will be approved in the best interest of society and the members of the neighborhood. I have here some members, if you will allow them briefly to give a brief testimony of how they changed their lives based on this opening of Macho Time Community Service Boxing Camp. Thank you.
Mr. Queen.
Yes, how long have you owned this location? How long have you owned this?
I'm not the owner, I'm a leasee, I've been there 10 years now.
Not the but you own the business, is what I'm saying.
I own the business,
I'm
yes,
sorry, I
ma'am.
didn't clear.
10 years,
10 years.
yes ma'am.
I've been there. I was there with a reporter. I know the location. I was just wondering. Okay,
Yes ma'am, thank you.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, by what I understood, maybe I misunderstood, the petitioner stated that someone in the city, code enforcement, if I recall, that's what he said,
Well,
asked them to put, pardon me?
The person said that it don't matter if I say his name here, which I question him, and he said no problem. He was Eric Cotton from Code Enforcement Department in the city.
Whoa, stop
And he
here.
gave
Whoa,
out
whoa,
the
whoa.
idea.
I apologize for interrupting you.
Yes.
What I'm saying, you don't know what I'm saying. You're bringing up somebody's name. I didn't
Yes, sir.
ask you for no name. I'm saying the city of Tampa, as I understood it, from code enforcement, asked him, why don't you put it in beer and wine? That's what I understood. That's why he's applying? Is that what you said?
No, I say, why, they question me, why don't you apply for the beer and wine license to
Well, then
help?
they're telling you to apply for a beer and wine license, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Who did that?
Well, the suggestion was made
I
by,
didn't ask you that. Who did that, sir? What is his name or her name?
no, his name.
Her or him?
Oh, it's Eric Cotton.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next person.
Before we go on,
Yes, sir. More questions. Oh, I'm so sorry.
no, that's okay. I have a question, because Mr. Moreno brought something up. Are you in code violation now?
No, sir, not that I know of. Not at all.
Okay. Were you serving alcohol previously?
I'm not in there, no, sir, not at all.
Okay. That's why we're kind of asking the question, which is, if someone is saying you might want to apply for a use for alcohol, meaning that you had already been serving alcohol, and if code enforcement had come there, they had cited you for it, and that's what I'm asking. Were you ever cited for any of that?
No, sir, not at all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, as you well know, and I am, code enforcement has nothing to do with alcohol zoning. Code enforcement has nothing to do with alcohol zoning at all, and I understand that. But what I'm saying, do you have any signs now in the building that says beer and wine for sale or something?
I just put up a sign that it says package sale, but the place is closed as of now. So I just put up the sign in hope that if we do get the license approved today, that I will go tomorrow and get a temporary license from the state. Because we are desperately wanting and needing some funds to keep running this organization.
How long has the organization been in place?
We've been in place for about 7 months, 8 months right now, at this point in time. The license, this meeting, last time did not go through because the person who was in charge with taking the pictures and all that and bringing it here to the court, he failed to do it on time. So we got postponed until this day.
All right, anyone else want to speak
Thank you, sir.
on this issue? Need to come forward.
Good evening, Council. My name is Walter L. Smith II, and I am involved with Macho Time Community Boxing Services. This is an organization that has been in the community in different forms. It's always been there to help the children of different communities that have come there to learn the sport of boxing in order to stay out of trouble. To help this particular organization to raise money, the beer and wine license is being explained to me, and as I've seen, having been involved in it, would help them to be able to raise money during events where these same children and young adults have the opportunity to spar and to train in front of community members who come there to see the talent and understand and support the children of these various communities coming from as far north as New Tampa and Pasco County, as far west as Pinellas County, and we even have some from Orlando that have come here. But certainly we have some from West Tampa and East Tampa locally as well, who are now headed to Olympic championship camps. And this is critical. I think it's very, very important for us to find some way in order to support their means of making money, and I think that this is one that is worth us taking a look at and supporting. So I do stand in support of Macho Time Community Boxing Services. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak on item number 4?
Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Delis Eugenio. I'm the Administrator's Secretary with here Mr. Agustin. I'm just here to let you guys know that what we're actually doing with this Macho Time Association, we actually have some of the young adults here with us and some adults that they actually have been going through some rough times. And they're trying to get out of the streets. So exactly what we're trying to do is trying to get the young and young adults and even adults to come and try something different to allow us to get them, help them get out of the streets, not be getting involved in drugs, not be getting involved in fights and arguments. You know, this actually can even help them sometimes with their families as well. So me personally, I have seen how some of them have made changes in their life. We actually have 2 of them that they've been with us working for almost a month. They've been there with us for almost a month, which it'll be Lewis and Brooks. We also have April. She's been with us for a couple of months, and it's good to see people, you know, that they're homeless, and they actually trying to get out. So for me as well, I believe that having the beer and wine will be good as well to get these funds. And who doesn't like to go watch a boxing and have a beer or a wine in your hand, right? So why, if this is gonna help them, you know, why not look forward to try to get it? Any questions for me?
No. All right, anyone else? Next person.
Thank you.
Mario Acosta. I'm at 3001 North Armenia. And first and foremost, I don't know how you feel with young minors and alcohol. To me, I'm not comfortable with that whole scene. But let's talk about my interests. Mr. Perez has interest in creating this venue, and I have interest in protecting mine. I own the property across the street, and you know, my tenant has been there 28 years. He's built up a reputable company or business. Customers are very comfortable leaving their cars there overnight. Leaving their cars overnight with a business like this, you got alcohol, you've got minors, you've got boxing. I don't see it as a good recipe. I really don't. Now, West Tampa has come along a lot in the last 5 years. We've got the Humane Society is building this big project with for the animals. We got the Suncoast Federal Credit Union. Castillo Builders have brought in homes for families to come in. Weather-tight windows. We even got a Waffle House now. West Tampa was dead, you know, bottom line. Those are positive impacts that we need, especially in West Tampa. West Tampa's been, you know, dragging a little bit while everybody else has been growing. West Tampa is in the right direction. I think we need to keep on that same direction. I think mixing alcohol with minors and boxing and all that, that excuse about it's going to generate funds for camps and all that, I don't see it. I really don't. I'm in opposition of this whole venue ordeal. And that's my point on that. So hopefully you all will review this, give some thought, think about this whole picture. A large venue. In the papers I reviewed, I looked over and I read 500 seating capacity. There's nowhere in that block where you can seat, or rather not seat, but park 250 cars. 175. If there's a seating capacity of 500, there must be at least a parking availability of less than a quarter of that. So I don't see that. I just don't see how this whole thing is gonna come in and work out. We have a liquor store across the street. You buy, you pick up, you go home. We have another liquor store over on Howard. Been there for years. You buy, you pick up, and there's a lounge in the back. Been there also, like I said, for years. The liquor store on Columbus, right directly across from here, been there for years also. My family's been in that corner since 1941. I've seen a lot happen in that part of town. And I'll tell you, right now, we're on the right track. We've got good businesses coming in. Businesses that see other things like that will continue moving in. Big people, big money. This is what the city thrives on. They need that money.
Thank you, sir.
They see stuff like this, throws up a flag.
Can I ask just a quick question? Sir, where did you say your business is? You say across the street. Was
I'm
it
at
across
3001 North Armenia. It's
3001
Pete's Automotive.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a Phillips 66 years ago.
I'm very familiar with it. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Let's continue.
Okay, any more questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not for me. I've got one thing that came to my mind immediately was the hours of operation. Y'all gonna be boxing at 2:30 in the morning?
No.
I'm like 11, why are these hours on here if this is boxing for young people?
I can answer to that.
Okay,
Let's think about Chuck E. Cheese, where they got the kids and they got a little restaurant with pizza inside. Well, this is perhaps similar to that. We got a small cafeteria in there, which has been licensed by the state of Florida, by the city of Tampa, and by Hillsborough County. And what we do there, we make pizzas. And that is also to compound the monetary funds for Macho Time Community Service. And after the boxing ends, about 9 o'clock, 8, 7, whatever time, then the family and the people for the event, they will stay there eating and drinking a beer or drinking a glass of wine. And this is what contributes to the raising of the money. However, I don't see in any way that this can hurt the next door business when they're going to be closed, when we're going to be open. Thank you very much.
okay, again, they're gonna sit there from 9 a.m. to 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning. That's what that's what what is on here. That to me is just, I still don't see the reason or I don't understand
I have
the
an answer.
connection. Yes.
I have an answer.
State your name. Each time you come up here and walk away, you got to restate your name.
I will request permission next time, sir. Sorry.
You still need to state your name.
I'm Julian Perez,
Okay.
and I'm the applicant. At 2348, there is the original restaurant. 2320 is an access building to 2348, which is the main restaurant. We have a restaurant right in the corner. And mainly the people are going to move from point 1, which is 2320, to 2348 to stay there for the rest of the night. The boxing place will be closed more like the 6, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And then we do have the 2348, which is the restaurant, the official restaurant of the building, and that's going to be open to 2:30 in the morning. Has nothing to do with the 2320, which is the boxing location. It's one combined building.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
It's one building, and those hours pertain to the entire building. I am, the hours just don't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me that there's children that from, 9 o'clock to 2:30 in the morning is a long time to eat pizza.
Well, the 2:30 in the morning, ma'am,
And
is,
you're talking, how many days a week is this, are we looking at this time?
it is a legal restaurant, Columbus and Armenia.
Yes.
The boxing space is an attached portion to the building.
What is your hours of operation in your restaurant now?
We closing now at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night because we don't have beer and wine to serve.
Okay.
But when we do have the license for beer and wine, then we will extend the hours to 2:30 in the morning at the restaurant, not at the boxing location, ma'am.
Maybe I shouldn't ask this, but I'm just, my mind is swirling like a
Thank
tornado
you.
inside of
I'm
me.
listening to you here. 11 a.m. to 2:30 in the morning, Monday through Sunday. That's 7 days a week. Okay. That's, I just wanted to point that out. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Maniscalco.
Yes, Mr.
What gets me is the 92% parking reduction, 213 spaces to 17. I drive by this location, I've driven by this location my whole life. Where are the cars gonna park? You can't park on Armenia, you can't park on Columbus, you can't park on Howard. It's gonna overflow into the neighborhood, it's gonna be, I mean, I know the whole layout of the neighborhood, where are they gonna go?
Yes, I spoke to my next door neighbor, which is a tile place, and he has about 30 parkings in there. And I spoke to the building across the street from us, and they told me that I can use that building at any time that I want after 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And they have 75 parkings over there, plus the restaurant behind me has about 7 to 10 parkings open, and they said that I can use it after 3 or 4 o'clock in the
And
afternoon.
is there a written agreement or anything other than verbal or a handshake?
No, sir, there is no written agreement on that.
And another thing is the distance separation from the other 2 alcoholic beverage locations. You have one on Armenia Columbus and then Howard Columbus. You know, this is within less than 250 feet, you know, that we have the requirement for.
It's in the same Columbus, sir. It's in the same street of Columbus.
Yeah. It's, I think it's just, it's too much for the property. You know, I mean, there's multiple businesses there and then this, and I don't know. I see a nightmare coming from this.
You know, it's a little bit hard to explain, and I understand your concern. But most of the people that we have there are walk-ins from the neighborhood. They are not people that come, you know, from other areas and whatever. They come from the neighborhood, from Main Street, right there. That's where we have more likely the problem with the youth. And they come walking to our place. I never seen this place full of people, even though we had some events over there, boxing events. And I never seen my parking full of cars because they are walk-ins, neighborhood walk-ins.
Mr. Miranda.
Thank you. I
Thank you,
admire
sir.
all of you for helping kids, for helping the young. There's no doubt. I think boxing, any sports, certainly takes the mind off, the pressure off the individuals, young and want to pursue success. They do that through sports and they do it in life. But I don't imagine, however, I don't understand the formula, because if you're going to take in kids to do this, I imagine you have a 501c3 to help the kids. I don't know if you do or not. I don't know. So
That
who's
is
applying
correct.
for the license? You are, or the 501c3?
We got the 501c3, but I'm applying under my name.
So how I can't go there because
Well,
I'm not part of the zoning.
The corporation is under
I
my name,
understand.
sir.
I'm not going to ask no more questions regarding that because it's not involved the alcohol.
All right, can I bring the other person, if you will?
Next person speak, yeah. They want to speak?
Before we go, let's make sure we're straight. Are we doing public comment now? I mean, because we did ask a lot of questions, or are we doing still with that? Because it seems like he keeps asking other people to answer questions for his application. Which is it?
It started off, that's what it's supposed to
I'm
be.
getting confused.
He's supposed to have, he the applicant, he was supposed to come up and make his pitch, and then he had other people that he wanted to speak as well.
I just for purposes of process, I just want to make sure we get this straight so that we know what the next step
I did
is.
ask a question.
Right.
No, I know, that's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for anyone else that's coming up. Is it still public comment, or is it just the applicant coming up? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it's public comment.
Okay, you can sit down now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening, I guess. My name is David Bowser. I'm not a resident of Tampa, but I am working with Augustine. I'm kind of the professional side of the boxing end. I used to have a gym in St. Petersburg, Florida from 1998 to 2004 in a warehouse district that had, unfortunately, had far more parking. Wanted to address some of the concerns that the business gentleman that was up here earlier. The number one concern was parking. I told him that we need to go out and get the parking equation handled. We already had talked to a number of businesses in the area, one that has about 82 cars, the restaurant, the Chinese restaurant that was at the corner, image there. They said we can use it at night, as well as there's a vacant lot next to them, and we had contacted them and reached out to that. The other is, even though I'm part of the nonprofit side of it, I wasn't aware that he was, searching for a variance to get full liquor. In the past, when I had my gym in St. Petersburg, we were a 501c3 company, but the city and the county, well, actually, we were a county, part of Lellman, and the county limited us to how often we could do these events, and we were hosting the USA Amateur Boxing, which is the national boxing organization that represents the Olympics. We were the only, or at that point, the only facility to host that, the Golden Gloves, Silver Gloves, and the Police Athletic League events. That's something that we would like to do at this facility. My biggest concern isn't until 2. I mean, no event goes on that late, especially with the kids program. We're not going to do professional boxing there. So to address one of your concerns, chief concerns, it seems like that 2 o'clock hour, our shows usually end 10 o'clock. And we typically stop sales of alcohol an hour before the last bout. So that way you streamline it, no issues with lingering drinking and whatnot. I do understand the concerns that the citizens have. I've driven that neighborhood. Though I'm a citizen of St. Pete, I've come to Tampa every day. And I know the neighborhood. My concerns that were also brought up, that there are 2, I guess, other liquor stores in that area. Is that correct? Anybody can answer? Okay. But there's also the Gentlemen's Club that had a number of issues for years. We're the direct opposite of that. Number one thing, you won't have to worry about the kids being around alcohol other than for event night. So all I can say is this program, if we can get at least a variance to allow us for event by event basis until maybe we can address further concerns and provide further information to get this resolved.
No, I'm gonna ask him a question.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. So
Yes,
we can get
thank
the
you.
rest of the people.
Are you speaking for the owner when you say, you mentioned hours, and you mentioned a lot less
I know
hours?
I'm speaking on my behalf for the 501c3, which is my assumption of why we are here, is to get the variance to allow us to do the events there with alcohol. That was my assumption of what this meeting was. I didn't know this was some type of an extension to get, I guess, permanent alcohol and packaging. I was not aware of that.
Okay. So you're not speaking for the owner, you're speaking for the...
I'm speaking more for the 501c3 because my concern, I mean, I pretty much stopped everything since July, August of last year. I stopped moving forward with looking for other locations because we thought I'd find a great location for it. The community, heavy Hispanic,
I
lower
understand,
level of
look,
income.
I understand all that. I understand helping the children. I understand the whole thing. Again, you mentioned the hours. Maybe you and the owner should have gotten together
Yeah,
before you came here.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of in shock
Because
when he
you're
said 2:30.
saying
There's-
something very different than what he's
Yeah,
saying.
I concur
And we
with that, yes,
we cannot tell you what hours to open, but you all certainly can talk about it and come back and tell us what hours you want to open. So if you want to...
Yeah, we could do that, that's fine.
Well,
I mean, we can
Well, you're going to do it now, today?
I'm more confused now than before.
I'm not confused at all. I'm not confused
I've done that
at all.
before, that's why I'm a
I know.
divorcee, so.
I know what he's saying. So, Chairman, where are we legally with this? Tell me where we're at.
Rebecca Kurt, Legal Department. You are still in the middle of public comment, so I would suggest that you continue to allow the rest of the public comment. And what I also heard is that this gentleman is not the applicant.
Right.
But the applicant does have the ability to request a continuance from City Council to consider revising their application to another date. But right now, you're in the middle of public comment.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, he might not be the applicant, but what I heard him say is he the director of the 501c3, is the 501c3 in your name or their name?
It's under a different person. I'm a board member of the 501c3, yes.
All right, thank you very much.
The applicant is listed as Julian Perez.
Okay.
And so he would be the one who would need to speak on continuing or not continuing the application.
Got it.
All right, anyone else wish to speak on this item?
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, you already spoke, so you don't give her one opportunity.
Good afternoon. My name is April. I'm one of the ladies that he helped to get off the street.
Excuse me, your full name, please, your name?
April Anderson.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Previous to coming to this, I was homeless. I had lost my children due to drugs. This company and this organization has helped me, and I'm in the process of going through mediation to get my children back. My children love coming there to see me be passionate about something. Aside from my sobriety, I also have extended family who is helping me. I apologize, I get a little choked up. This organization has truly given me my sobriety. I was not sober for more than 3 weeks for 10 years before coming here, and I've been sober for over 5, with no relapses, no problems of relapse. I'm just pleading that this company is able to be approved today so we can continue on this, because it's affecting more than just myself. It's affecting multiple people, multiple generations, and my children are also thriving to want to do something like this in the future. So I know that he had a concern about minors being there, but it's positively affecting my minor children. I have 3. So I'm just asking on, my behalf on what my struggle was, that you would consider this greatly, because I'm in fear that without this organization that I may fall back into some kind of temptation without having this passion of boxing.
We won't let you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm sorry?
Anyone else wish to speak?
Hi, my name is Brooke Aguilar, and I've been with Macho Community Services for about a month, and they have helped me specifically with gainful employment, and I need that to be reunified with my child as well. And I've noticed that this organization has helped people with living situations, helping them, with employment, and it's positive in the community around there. So I just wanted to point out that it would be beneficial for this license so that the funding could be continued. And that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Thanks.
Next person?
How y'all doing? Louis Ramirez speaking. I don't really know too much about everything going on here, so I just want to let you guys know my experience with this program. And I think the city of Tampa really needs this, because no one else is putting out this message that I've met so far. Put the guns down and pick the gloves up. So since I've been there, it's nothing but positivity. We do need funding, and I don't even really drink, so I don't see why, it'd be an issue or whatever when I'm boxing or whatever. I'll have a beer after work every once in a while, but yeah, I love the message. I think the city of Tampa really needs something like what he's doing, because I haven't seen nobody else doing it. So yeah, let's see, what else could I say? Yeah, especially coming from Hispanic male. I was raised in Tampa. I'm 23 years old, and there's a lot of dumb stuff going on in the city of Tampa. And I think this program would be great for the youth, talking from personal experience. So, yeah, the funding would be great. We do need it, and it's a really positive message, and I would love a lot of people to try it. So that's all I'm gonna say. Thank you. Any questions? A little nervous.
Thank you.
No.
All right, anyone else?
I have something.
Ma'am, I just told you, you only get one opportunity.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry, I'm a little deaf from my right ear, so I wasn't able to hear you.
Well, me too.
Okay, I did hear you now.
Let's,
Thank you.
Yes. I know that the City Council has received here a letter. I haven't read it, I don't have my glasses, but I don't really need to read this letter. The reason why Ralph Perkins, you can look it up, his name, Ralph Perkins. He was, I was renting an apartment to him, and I have 3 beautiful children. And I don't even know what the letter says, but it just says everything nasty. I'm not going to read it anyway, because I received other letters from him. And he's opposed to this license to help children. The reason why he's supposed to help children is because when I discovered that he was a sex predator, I evicted him out of my property. And the records of the court will prove that. So I don't think I have to answer to this letter after I say what I have already said. At the same token, we have had some live testimony from people who have changed their lives over a short period of time. However, only we heard one testimony from whom is a business owner, the owner of the building, not even a business owner. However, those people across the street, they have always been against our business as a competition. Nevertheless, I will request, based on the testimonies today, that in the best interest of society, if this court wishes for any reason to deny this petition for beer and wine alone, and we can make this with the exemption, we can make it until 10 o'clock at night. You know, I have no problem with that. 11:30 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night and close it out at this time. I think that it will help also to found our nonprofit organization. Nevertheless, if it's your wishes today to deny our petition, I would request at this time, as the petitioner of this license, that you will continue for further clarification. I will ask for a continuance. Thank you very much. If there's any question, I'm here.
You're requesting a continuance, is that what you just said?
If you wishes to deny it today, based on any misunderstanding.
Yeah, that's your choice.
Yes.
If you wish for this to be continued, then you need to let us know.
I don't want to continue it really, because I believe that we had enough live testimony here, very positive to the young people in society. I think that this is in the best interest of society.
Ms. Capino.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Say 10 p.m.
I can do it to 10 p.m., no problem.
Just come up here, thank you.
Brian Manassi, Land Development. If you decide on that with the applicant, we can adjust those times between first and second reading to the times that are agreed upon. I just need a note.
What are the times? What is he saying?
Right now, those are the stated times?
No,
Oh.
what time is he?
11:30 in the morning to 10 p.m. at night. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Thank you. That's what I thought I heard.
Okay.
Between first and second reading.
Any further questions, so I can?
He's running the meeting. Let him run the meeting. Okay. Okay. He'll tell you when he wants you to talk, or when I can talk.
I don't want to sit down again.
It's my turn now. Okay. So, here, let's get back to what the real issue is. Okay. It's about a large venue for alcohol purposes, regardless of what the purpose is. I mean, that's what we have to remember. It doesn't matter if it's a nonprofit or a for-profit. It doesn't matter if it's a boxing thing or if it's something else. Or bowling alley. Well, it could be, I guess, but it could be anything. The issue is about the land use for this particular thing, even including the hours of operation. In my mind, there are so many waivers on here, especially as Mr. Maniscalco mentioned, reducing the required parking from 213 to 17 is probably the largest reduction I have ever seen us do. It may be close to one of the largest, but it's pretty large. And I'm not sure how we're going to meet the needs of that neighborhood and be able to provide this use, regardless of whether or not it's continued or not continued. I mean, I personally believe that we should not approve this at all because of those reductions. I think it's going to be too much in that neighborhood. And especially since you already have to, they want access to a local street, the reduction of that. There is, the distance between another, alcohol serving location. I don't think it's a good plan. I don't think it's going to work for anyone in this neighborhood. I will not support this. If it comes back while I'm still on council, I will not support it even then, because there is no way to fit this in. We're shoehorning something into a very small space, and it doesn't matter what the use is, because when we're talking about large venue, it doesn't matter what you put there. You understand that, right, sir?
I understand.
Okay. It doesn't matter what your mission is. It doesn't matter that you're helping people.
I understand.
Okay. The only thing we have to look at is the use itself and all the other requirements that you have to have, regardless of what you do there. So don't answer. I just want you to understand that as we go forward, that's your issue.
I
The
understand.
issue is a large rent venue.
I
So,
understand.
And I've said my piece, Chair. Thank you.
I understand. Can I say something?
Hold on, sir. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? Item number 4. All right. Sir, you got something else to say?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let this be the last comment.
I understand his concern, and I understand the crowding of the parking and all that, but I repeat again, and I will make it fresh. The people coming to this event are of the neighborhood, walk-ins. They are not driving cars. They are not coming in cars, so everybody coming in cars. I repeat, we had last time 150 people over there, and my parking lot was empty because the people who come to this event are walk-ins from the neighborhood. Thank you very much.
All right, can we get a motion to close?
So moved.
All right, got a motion by Mr. Maniscalco, second by Mr. Miranda. Any further discussion on the motion?
Yes. One of the statements was made that people come walking. We have made exceptions in Seminole Heights for the same reason that people come walking. So I want to just bring that up, that people come from the neighborhood, and somehow in Seminole Heights it's okay to come from the neighborhood, but in West Tampa it's not. And that is a discretion that I have a hard time with.
We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, with pleasure, council. Item number 4.
Well, I make a motion to deny it based first on the parking reduction of 92%. I find that inconsistent along with the city, and then as well as the distance separation of alcoholic beverage sales from 250 feet to 140 feet.
I'd make that second. Are you talking about section number 27-283.7?
Yes.
Which is to reduce the required number of parking spaces from 213 to 17?
Yes.
Which is a 92% reduction. And section 27-283.12?
Yes.
To allow reduction in aisle width from 24 to 0 feet. And a 27-132, reduce the required distance separation to other AB sales establishments from 250 to 140 feet.
Yes.
I second all that, Chair.
Okay, we got
And
it.
there's also, I believe, one, to allow commercial traffic to a local street, St. Joseph Street, which is 27-283-12J.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, may I inquire of Ms. Kurt a question? Ms. Kurt, is the waiver criteria under 27-139 sub 4, is that applicable, this being a site plan controlled application?
I'm sorry, which section?
27-139. I just want to know if that's applicable.
Are you talking about the general standards?
general
I don't have the
standards
section
for a
memorized.
waiver.
Yes, when you're considering, yes, the short answer is yes, that is the standards under which you review whether or not to grant a waiver.
Okay, and that also being the case, also 27-129, the general standards, any findings related to that and applied to that as a basis for a denial?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, I'm going to direct council's attention then to your staff report, page 3, and you've done this in the past, to apply your evidence that you've heard at this hearing to the general standards of 27-129. And also, I don't know whether it's in the staff report, but I believe you have criteria for waivers. And I'll pass this to, it's Mr. Maniscalco's motion, so I could pass it to Mr. Maniscalco. But if there's any findings with relation to 27-129 that you wish to also include as a basis, that would be appropriate.
Then so be it.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Maniscalco, second by Mr. Suarez. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The motion carried with Cohen being absent.
All right, we go to item number 5.
Mary Semeniego, Land Development Coordination. Item number 5 is REZ 18121. This was originally heard at your February 14th, 2019 public hearing. It's for the property located at 7113 South Kissimmee Street from Commercial General to RS50. To remind City Council, at the February hearing, there was some public comment regarding a concern for this specific section of Port Tampa transitioning out of Commercial General into residential. And so you directed the applicant, or the applicant requested a continuance to have time to speak with the surrounding property owners and the neighborhood associations with the option of changing their application or to proceed under the current zoning with the commercial general use. The applicant is before you tonight with the original application as it currently read, or as it previously read, rather. They're still wanting to proceed with their rezoning from commercial general to RS50. Here's a zoning map of the subject property in green. As you can see, it is in a small node of commercial general and a CI zone property. And then this is commercial general, which is established with some commercial uses up on Commerce Street. Let me zoom out a little bit. And just for further information for you, I did print out a copy of the existing land use map, so you can kind of see this commercial node, as we say, has been in existence since zoning began in 1956. However, no development of any commercial property has ever occurred in that node. It's all vacant property. This is a house, this is a house, this is a house, and then this is a City of Tampa fire station. So even though the commercial general node has been at this intersection, there are no commercial businesses currently located there, nor have there been for, like I said, since 1956. So it continues to be the DRC's review the application. We do find it consistent with the Land Development Code to transition this lot from commercial general back to RS50. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions from council? Okay. The applicant?
Hi, my name is Diana Hamid. I am representing DKV Initiatives on behalf of Doug Verkai. I have the affidavit here. You guys can just see that for any reason? Oh, okay, perfect. So Doug advised that he spoke to Callie, who was the person that objected during the previous hearing, stating that she wanted to have this lot be zoned as commercial opposed to residential. After their conversation, Doug advised that Callie was okay with DKV moving forward with zoning the lot as residential and building homes in that area. He also said that after they had the conversation, it made the most sense that there wasn't a commercial building in that lot, since the lot will be very small for a commercial building. And there are neighbors that are across the street and numerous residential areas in the neighborhood that most likely wouldn't be happy with a commercial building in that lot. And that is all. Any questions?
Any question for the applicant? All right, anyone in the public wish to speak on item number 5?
Second.
Got a motion from Mr. Miranda, seconded by Ms. Lapine. All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt, and forgive me for doing this. Are you representing Mr. Toth?
I am representing Doug, DKV Initiatives. I have the affidavit here.
And this is number 5?
Number 5, yes.
And who is the applicant?
My name is Diana Hamid.
Yes, but who is the applicant in the case?
DKV Initiatives, Doug Verkai. The previous person that was here at the hearing, his name was Lou.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Sir, then forgive me, there's a gentleman in the back that handed me papers.
Okay.
In the back. Gentleman with the hat? What item is that for, sir?
That's for item 6 and I think number 7.
Sorry, sir, okay. I was mistaken. No,
That's
I wanted
okay.
to make sure, I wanted to make sure that these were in the record if that was hidden. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any question for the applicant? Anyone in the public wish to speak on item number 5? All right, got a motion from Mr. Miranda, seconded by Mr. Payne. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. No opposed. All right, Ms. Capine, item 5.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I will read this. File number REC 18-121, ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. An ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 7113 South Kissimmee Street in the city of Tampa, Florida, more particularly described in section 1, from zoning district classification CG commercial general to RS50 residential single family, providing an effective date.
All right, got a motion from Councilwoman Capine, seconded by Councilman Miranda. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed?
The motion carried with Cohen being absent, second reading and adoption will be on April 18th at 9:30 a.m.
Okay, we go to item number 6.
Good evening, Council. Ryan Manassi, Land Development. Item number 6 and item number 7 are being ran together. I believe item number 7 is the rezoning and should be heard prior probably to the alcohol petition of item number 6.
All right, go ahead.
Mary Samaniego, item number 7 is REZ 1863. It's a rezoning request for the property located at 302 North Dale Mabry Highway, and 3809 West Big Street from OP1 and RS50 to PD for restaurant and commercial off-street parking.
Good evening, council members. David Hay with your Planning Commission staff. This zoning case is located within the West Shore Planning District. It is also there is a portion of the site located within the West Shore Employment Center as defined by the comprehensive plan. It is within the North Bon Air neighborhood. The closest transit stop is located approximately 200 feet to the north of the subject site along North Dale Mabry Highway, and that's served by Hart's Route 36, which connects the subject site to Britton Plaza's Transfer Center and the Carrollwood neighborhood. Additional transit service is provided by Hart South Tampa Flex Service, and the subject site is located within Evacuation Zone D. The subject site is roughly right around here. Here is the aerial of the subject site. You can see, of course, Dale Mabry runs north-south. Fig is on the south. This is the subject site right here. Kennedy is further to the south, and then, of course, up off to the northwest is 275. We're all familiar with this portion of North Dale Mabry Highway. There's a lot of heavy commercial uses that line it. This is the Wawa, I believe, right there. The neighborhood to the west is predominantly single-family detached. On to the future land use map. The subject site has 2 future land use designations. This purple color along Dale Mabry Highway, that is the Regional Mixed Use 100. It is the most intensive category outside of downtown Tampa. That's similar to the category that's in Channel District. The back portion, that roughly, the Regional Mixed Use 100 makes up roughly 0.52 acres. The remaining 0.51 acres on the west side, and all those properties in that tan color are the residential 10, so there is a drop-off. To the north, you can see some residential 20, some community commercial 35 in the red, and along Kennedy Boulevard to the south is the urban mixed-use 60 future land use category. The applicant is requesting approval through this rezoning petition to rezone a approximately 1.03 acre subject site from an office professional 1, OP1, and residential single family 50 to a planned development to recognize an existing 10,492 square foot structure and to allow for redevelopment of a residentially zoned parcel for use as an additional parking area. The existing building on site would not be altered. The proposed uses of restaurant and business professional office are typical along that stretch of North Dale Mabry Highway. The parking area provides significant buffers to the west and includes a masonry wall along the north and west property boundaries. Also, the existing restaurant curb cut will be utilized and no additional driveways are proposed. The proposed site plan, Planning Commission is sensitive to the existing residential uses while also allowing for additional parking for the established commercial use on North Dale Mabry Highway. Based on those considerations, the Planning Commission staff finds proposed plan development consistent with the provisions of the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mary Samaniego, Land Development Coordination. I have an amended staff report to submit to you for some corrections. Here's the zoning map area. David kindly already showed the aerial photograph of the surrounding area. Here is the zoning map for the subject property in green. The property along North Del Mabry Highway is an office professional 1, which currently already allows a restaurant use. However, because of the expansion of the overall use of the property, the entire building is proposed to be used and allowed for restaurants. They need additional parking, and so this area that's in the RS 50 zoning district would be, is allowed for consideration for commercial off-street parking through a special use approval. Because of the waivers, the special use criteria follow through this PD, and will be approved with, under the PD heading.
Sir, we don't have no outbursts in this chamber. So take this as your first warning.
Here is the proposed site plan. As I stated, the existing building is 10,492 square feet. Currently, the first floor is used as a restaurant, and the second floor was previously approved for a business professional office. With this rezoning, the entire building could be used for restaurants. Based on the proposed capacity of the restaurant, the required number of parking spaces is 67 spaces required, and 67 are being provided. This area to the back is the RS 50 zoning. It currently houses a daycare center, which would be demolished, and the new parking lot would be constructed to achieve the required parking that is required under the code based on the occupancy. The existing structures will remain. Again, for the main part of the site, the existing parking lot for the most part will remain. This connection will be created. The daycare will be demolished, and then this parking lot will be developed. As far as waivers being requested, 27-132, which is the one of the special use criteria of allowing commercial parking in a residential area, says it cannot exceed more than 100 square feet from the commercial property. They're asking for a waiver for it to extend 120 square feet as opposed to 100 because of the width of the lot is 120 linear feet. Per the amended report I gave you, this property is in the West Shore overlay. Currently, the front door and a plaza area with some seating is located facing the parking lot. The West Shore Overlay Code states that it's supposed to face a public right-of-way, either FIG or primarily Dale Mabry. They're asking for a waiver to leave the existing main entrance facing the rear in the parking lot, as well as for the required plaza, covered walkway, pedestrian amenities to face the rear as well. So that's a waiver request. The third waiver that's being requested is to allow for commercial traffic on a local street. I have in my file a letter from DOT, which controls Dale Mabry. They only gave them a driveway for exit. They cannot enter the site, but however, they are asking to exit onto FIG. So that is the reason for the waiver request. However, this driveway cut is already there, but because we're increasing the intensity, we have to revisit that waiver request. The fourth waiver, similarly, the existing driveway location, standard driveway widths are supposed to be 24 feet. In this area, it goes down to 19.5, so that's a waiver request to acknowledge the existing substandard driveway width in this specific location. And then the last waivers being requested are the use-to-use buffers for a restaurant with parking up against single-family houses, which there are to the north in these locations as well as to the west. The code requires a 15-foot buffer with a 6-foot high CMU wall. For the north, they're asking for a waiver. Instead of 15 foot of a buffer, they're asking for 10 feet with the CMU wall. And then along the west property line, instead of a 15-foot landscape buffer, they're asking to go down to 8 feet. Staff has some modifications between first and second reading. Transportation found the overall proposal inconsistent because of the access to the local as well as to the reduction in the driveway width to acknowledge the substandard driveway width. Natural Resources had a couple modifications primarily to ensure protection of these trees with the landscape island and the driveway width. And Urban Design did have some changes and concerns with the front door not facing a public right-of-way and acknowledging the existing door to the facility facing the rear. With that, overall, the Development Review and Compliance staff did find this inconsistent with the City of Tampa Land Development Code. Again, please see the findings related to transportation regarding the drive aisle widths and the access to local. Should it be the pleasure of City Council to approve it, please acknowledge the revision sheet based on the amended staff report. Do you have any specific questions, Council, for me at this time?
Mr. Suarez.
Excuse me. They had already had access to a residential street, correct?
Correct.
By virtue of the original OP1
Yes.
designation?
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure about that.
The increase of intensity requires them to revisit that access.
Right, right.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any further questions for me? Thank you.
All right. Applicant?
Good evening, Council. Steve Michelini, representing the owner at the property at 302 and 3809 Fig Street. Let me just go through a couple of items here and show you. We're dealing with an existing building with existing conditions. Is all of that? So the only plans for construction are to renovate or continue renovating the inside of the existing building, which is approximately 10,000 square feet, a little bit more, to provide for additional parking here and to preserve the trees that Natural Resources has asked us to preserve here. Because we're doing this, it shortens the amount of space that we have to provide the buffers on the outside. But we are proposing a 6-foot masonry wall covered with vines, and I'm going to show you some examples that are in the immediate vicinity that are very similar to this. We plan to use the existing ingress and egress that was previously approved here on Fig Street with no modifications, and as the staff has pointed out, that's a little over 19 feet wide. But again, without reducing landscape buffers and trying to manipulate the rest of this parking, we cannot achieve a wider throat here. And it is a directional drive. You can see it's angled there toward Del Mabry. FDOT has provided one means of egress here onto Del Mabry. It's adjacent to an office building that's located to the north and to the kids' rooms to go on the south. The property owner that is petitioning with us owns this parcel here to the north, and then this parcel over here, right here to the south. Rooms to go for kids, their parking lot extends to this point right here, directly across the street. We've also committed to requesting the waiver from Urban Design. We've met with them. Without structurally changing the building, the existing entryway is here, and the West Shore Overlay District requires that it be in the front. That is not a physical possibility for this building without major structural reconstruction on the front. So we are requesting that that waiver be granted for this to occur. Those were the two major exceptions that the city had asked us to address that showed up in the staff report as objections. This is the area on the west side of the building that would be designated as the entryway. It has a covered patio here, and it has benches, et cetera, that do meet the requirements for the West Shore overlay. However, as I said, they're on the west side and not on the east side. This is a view of the east side of the building. The sidewalks are already existing. The landscaping and the buffering and all that are there. And again, without some major structural reconstruction, it's not possible to make that change. This is the south side of the building along Fig Street. That just shows you that the existing building is going to remain. We have required number of parking spaces of 67, and we're providing 67 with the granting of this plan development. We are protecting and establishing an area along the western side that will essentially make this a low-intensive use. It'll be parking, but it's protected with a masonry wall on the north side and on the west side. And then on the south side, it'll have metal fencing that's landscaped. Both the north and the south, the north and the west sides will be completely landscaped and buffered in accordance with the City of Tampa code. We're preserving the 5 oak trees that currently exist in that section. And I'll show those to you. This is a view from the north side looking south, and these are the oak trees that they're talking about preserving. And again, we met with Natural Resources extensively to figure out how to make the parking lot work, and also how to adjust the site plan as necessary. This is a photograph of the entryway on Fig, and that will remain the same. These trees will remain the same. The sidewalks will be extended further to the south. These are the oak trees that currently exist between the two properties that will be preserved. And this masonry wall will be removed except for that section in the middle where you provide access to the adjacent parcel for the parking. This is the structure that would be removed. It's the daycare center. This is a picture looking northward from the rooms to go for kids across the street at the oak trees that are being preserved, and the other structure to be removed. This is this particular establishment. Yummy House China Bistro was established in 2008, and it's received a number of awards, including Immigrants Who Dreamed and Contributed American Dream Award. It was presented by Representative Kathy Castor in September of 2018. 10 Best Chinese Restaurants in Tampa Bay Area by TripAdvisor. East Tampa CDC Leadership Inspiration and Spirit Award 2014 and 2016. Creative Loafing Best Chinese Restaurants in Tampa Bay Area 8 years in a row. Top 50 Restaurants in the Tampa Bay Times. Highest rated Chinese restaurant in Central Florida by Yelp and Google. Yummy House China Bistro, 6 locations, Tampa, or 2 in Tampa, Orlando, Ocala, Gainesville, and Sarasota. And Yummy House is about to open the first Asian bakery in the Tampa Bay area. One of the things that also happened was that they were recognized. The recipients, this is from the article about their awards. The recipients were recognized for their outstanding accomplishments after immigrants to America to Tampa. And they have excelled in the areas of business innovation, law, education, healthcare, and have made remarkable contributions to our community. American is Tampa's strength or its diversity, Castor said. I'm proud and honored to honor several extraordinary immigrants who have made remarkable contributions to our community through hard work, preservation, and love of their country and the hometown that they've chosen as Tampa. And this was to the owner, John Zhao. They represent a life of business and innovation and their contribution to the Tampa community. I have an article here that, it goes on to talk about that and their contributions. I have a number of photographs, and what we've tried to do is be very sensitive to the interface between the commercial parking and the residential areas. This is a site plan of the kids' rooms to go, and it shows you how far they go back. This is the proposal from this corner is an additional 60 feet to the west. Right here it lines up from there. This is the Yummy House. This is Yummy House existing parking lot. This is the outside view looking south of rooms to go for kids. This is what their parking lot looks like. This is Carrabba's, which is approximately 800 feet to the north, and their parking lot goes all the way back to Church Street. There's no buffering of our masonry walls, there's just landscaping. There's no separation whatsoever between their parking lot and the adjacent properties. This is a photograph of Grillsmith, which is directly south of Carrabba's. Carrabba's is on the north side. This is Grillsmith. And their property line for their parking lot is in line with what we are proposing for Yummy House. They have a masonry wall with vines as we're proposing. They've kept the landscaping on the interior and with the trees as we also are doing. There's a view across the street. That's a north view where there's no wall, there's no separation whatsoever, and people are driving across there. The north side of our proposed parking lot area will have metal fencing with landscaping, a sidewalk, and the hedges. That just shows you that where the pictures are being taken from. This is the interior look. Again, masonry wall with the vines and the softer treatment. You may remember a year or so, maybe 2 years ago, there was a lot of discussion about the sensitivity of interfacing parking lots, particularly a little bit further south. This is Wright's Gourmet, and this is their main building. This is their parking lot here, and the treatment that they are proposing, that they actually have constructed, is identical to what we have on our site plan as being proposed, with the metal fencing along the street frontage, with the hedges, the landscaping, and the vines. This is the backside where there's a masonry wall covered with vines that is directly adjacent to the single-family residential. This is the outside where it's grown up now, where that's metal fencing and the sidewalk and the landscaping treatments. There are a couple of others, but I think that you probably get the idea of what we're proposing is similar to what already exists within, to the north, no more than 800 feet. And the other Grillsmith is about 700 square feet, 700 linear feet. Donatello's is south of there, which is about 200 linear feet. from this location. One of the things that we are to read into the record is an email that we received from Urban Design, which says that the waiver shall be added for the building to face, the principal facade of the building shall not face it will not face the right-of-way for the front. The principal facade shall be located to the rear and face parking area due to existing conditions. The required plaza, covered walkway, and pedestrian amenities, benches, and planters will be located off the rear of the facade and face the parking area and not the street due to existing conditions. An enlarged floor plan showing the covered area, covered walkway, benches, and planters located shall be included in a revised site plan. I'll read a couple more things into the record. This is in accordance with the City of Tampa's, the city staff's zoning report that they provided to you, that we have met the requirement for parking. 67 spaces are required. We provided 67 spaces. That we've demonstrated there are unique conditions that exist with the existing building, and we're trying to retrofit that to make sure that we are compatible with the West Shore overlay and with the urban design standards. That we are no further encroaching into the neighborhood than other establishments located in the nearby area, and that we've been found consistent by the Planning Commission with respect to this type of use with the corrected types and buffering and sensitivity to the neighborhood. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have at this time, or I'll remain to answer questions for rebuttal.
Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. A couple questions. One, so right now, Yummy House does not use the second floor for service at all.
That's correct. The second floor has been eliminated from use. We can only meet the parking requirements for the first floor, and so the restaurant is utilizing the first floor only.
But the second floor exists, though, correct?
It exists.
Okay,
It's built.
All right. I just wanted, I wasn't sure if it was built out or not built out because as far as I know, that it was not serving, so I just wanted to find that out.
It's not built out as a restaurant. It's built out as the office that it previously was.
Right.
However, as part of our negotiations with the city, we agreed to completely isolate the second floor until we resolve the parking issue.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an attempt to resolve the parking issue.
Currently, as part of the site plan and as part of some of your photographic evidence, I think that you showed where the I guess it's the trash receptacle on would be on the north side of the property. Right now, that exits into another parking lot. Am I correct?
Yes, there's a requirement according to the DOT approval for the exit, that there be maintained and cross-access agreement between the two properties. We do utilize that property after hours for valet, but it doesn't encroach. It is properly placed so that it doesn't interfere with the transfer from one area to the other.
And that cross agreement was already a part of the original OP1.
Yeah, everything that you see from here over was part of that original approval, and none of that changes.
So the question I have is that the additional parking that's next door to you, you say it's being currently used for the valet now?
Here is being used up north.
Yeah.
We rent those spaces in the evening for valet.
How many spaces are there?
I'm not sure. I think there's probably maybe 30.
Okay. And that is not being used as part of the calculation for this?
No,
Okay.
that's excluded. We could not count that as part of the required parking.
I just want to confirm that.
Yes.
That's all. Okay. Is it still going to be used at all for?
Well, it depends. We could potentially continue using it for valet parking if it's needed. Our principal objective here was to remove parking that could be overflowing in the neighborhood. And historically, it has overflowed in the neighborhood in the past. So we wanted to eliminate that and confine all of it. That's why we wanted to continue using the same points of ingress and egress instead of moving a driveway further into the neighborhood. So it's already established, the traffic pattern is already established, and we wouldn't be encroaching any further with an activity. It would be passive activity, but not actual driving.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm about the other parking, because I knew that there was valet there, I knew that there was some additional parking, but I wasn't sure if that was what was being used, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from council? All right, anyone in the public wish to speak on item number 7? Anyone in the public wish to speak on item number 7, please come forward. All right, who's gonna be first?
I forgot something. Hi, Richard Revis, 3907 West Gray Street. Council had previously received some petitions in opposition to this. I have some additional hard copies and new signatures to be filed and received. Okay. So North Bon Air has historically fought for and against businesses coming into our neighborhood. Most recently, we voted in favor of the 4,000 block of Kennedy, which now houses La Segunda Bakery as well as the Metro Diner. We fought for that, we approved it, we love it. So we're not in opposition to businesses surrounding the neighborhood. Right now, our neighborhood is experiencing a robust growth of newly developed single-family detached homes. And that's the way we want to keep it, because that's what we predominantly are. Right now, we currently have about 8 new McMansions, the big 2-story homes, being built and are going to be built in the neighborhood. Mr. Michelini brought up some good points. We do have parking lots encroaching in the neighborhood. He brought up Carrabba's. Carrabba's, that parking lot has been established for decades. And in the back part, if staff can correct me if I'm not mistaken, it is still zoned residential, single family. So at any time it can be redone and put single family homes on that. If staff can correct me if I'm not mistaken, that is current. Rooms to go kids. The old Po Folks is what it was. So that parking lot, again, has been there for decades. Grillsmith, again, decades. Donatello's, again, forever it has been this way. We don't have a problem with it. There's nothing we can do about it. Leave it there. But don't bring more into it, especially when that parking lot is going to be abutting residential homes, both on the west and the north, and it's going to be facing residential homes on the south. I think that's about what I have to say. Oh, happy birthday, Mom. She's going to kill me for that, but she's here on her birthday for this.
Next speaker.
Sorry.
Don't know how to make this work.
Just stand in front and you can speak. Yeah.
It's what you've kind of seen already. I'm Barbara Stack, North Bon Air neighborhood. We definitely oppose this request because it would demolish daycare centers on actually 2 lots. So it prevents 2 residential homes from being built and loses a daycare center, which is nice to have. We don't have enough daycare centers around our city anyway. We like being moderately priced and affordable housing, and this is what this space could provide if they wanted to sell it. As mentioned, 5 properties are being impacted, and one of them across from that parking lot is directly facing it. So you come out your front door and you're staring at all of that until 11 o'clock at night. It's not really a fair trade to give up houses for a parking lot. Traffic will continue to increase if this is expanded to that many. It's already a problem with getting in and out and people still parking on the street, which they will continue to do in addition, and it's easier. So Fig Street is in horrible shape and has speeders going up and down all the time. We now have a lot of families that have moved in with young children, and we'll have safety issues with this. We don't want to set a precedent for continuing to move parking lots into our neighborhoods. It's not the same as Rooms to Go. It's not the same as those other places that don't have traffic and cars all day long or from lunch and through dinner. We hadn't seen the plans. Landscape would help. But that rear door interest is awkward. It's in the middle of the parking lot. It's not really that comfortable sometimes to use it from that direction. I think they said that the entrance that exists now will be both entrance and exit, and it's already congestion in that space, in that parking lot, getting in, coming out, cars going down the street, and so it's going to just add to that a lot more. I think some of them things have already been covered, but we just want to keep a neighborhood. We don't want to become commercial. We don't want this to continue to grow, and we need to get traffic taken care of as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is David Prito. I live on 3815 Fig. And first of all, I want to apologize if I seemed like an outburst earlier. I just couldn't hear what she was saying. I have a couple problems and questions, more or less. It says here on this paper that, and the slide they showed earlier, that this is classified as an OP1. That's office and professional. From my understanding, that's offices and businesses. This is a restaurant, which should be classified as a A, I believe it is. I don't know if I'm right or wrong here, because that would put it in the same class as Carrabba's and Grillsmith. The Grillsmith parking lot, yeah, it's not as deep, but it is wider. It takes up both sides of the block. Just like Carrabba's takes up both sides and the whole strip. I'm not opposed to the restaurant. It brings in people, but I am opposed to the parking. I don't know how to put this slide thing on here, but I have a photo of cars just parked on both sides of the street. I come home for lunch. I can't get in because they're blocked on both sides of my driveway and across the street where they're blocking the driveway to back up. So if I'm correct, by law, you can't block a driveway to back up. If I hit their car, that's their responsibility, not mine. I really don't want to have to go through this. I think the other person have to go through this. I've been down to the restaurant several times asking them to move their vehicles for me to get in and out. It takes them 30 minutes to do this. The restaurant isn't that big. And the last I looked, for classification for parking lots, if it's a restaurant, it's somewhere between, I think it's 100 square feet is 10 parking spaces. You're talking 5,000 square feet on the bottom, 5,000 on the top. That's 10,000 square feet. I don't think 67 parking spaces is enough, or whatever they have opposed. Because I live there. I have to deal with this every day, in and out. Now, if they have the parking variances, which they didn't have from the beginning, so how they even opened the first time, is another question I have. If you have the parking variances and it's allowed to park there, then they shouldn't be parking on the street, because then it affects us. Again, I don't have a problem with the Yummy House and their restaurant, but the parking is the issue. And I asked before, when they first opened, if they had a parking variance. They looked at me kind of funny and they said no, one of the managers said. So again, how did they open? They opened under the OPI and not an A1, or excuse me, a Class A for a restaurant. So that's false pretenses. So what else is false pretenses moving forward with this? I have a trust issue here. Thank you.
Next speaker.
I need to submit some more paperwork, sir.
Sir, if you could just state your name for the record.
Toy Pelias, I'm sorry. Toy Pelias, I live at 3814 West Gray Street, the block in question.
And you provided me with some copies if you want to have
provided a lot of
distributed.
copies there for you.
Okay.
And I have some more here for you too. I'd like to get some more time than 3 minutes. I have somebody giving me their time here.
May I? You need to hand this, and you can pass that around if you like.
Okay.
Excuse my untimeliness. Now, I've submitted to the city council, and
The last name of the speaker is Lowe. One additional minute, please, for a total of 4.
so how many do I get? What, 6?
You get 4 minutes.
Okay.
One additional minute.
Okay.
So you get one, and you get one.
Let me know when I start. Okay, we're talking about Yum Yum House, I think it's called Fig Mabry Limited. And by the way, I used to be a city employee. I worked for the city of Tampa Fire Marshal's office for 25 years in the planning department. I also know about assemblies. I did this for a living. My biggest problem I have is the issues that are given to you are not the truth. That building is going to be converted into 2 restaurants, not 1. At 10,000 square feet, ballpark figure 15 square foot per person per the fire code, chapter 14, that's 666 people, 0.666 continue on. And I'll give a discount, I'll give 1/3 off for kitchens and back of house and stuff like that. That's 450 people. Now, where's the parking? You give these people the approval, they will take this to the hilt. They will make you, reconsider this, because the fact that assemblies have concentrated people. When they changed this over, the city of Tampa, which is where I used to work, approved it just like it is. I didn't have any issues because Steve Michelini says there was no alcohol consumed on premises. That's not true. They bring it in and they uncork it and drink it there. That's fine by me. But to encroach into my neighborhood, that same block I've lived over 55 years because of immigrants that just got here, I appreciate that, I really do. But at the same time, I've been there for 55 years and most of my family has too. Now we're encroaching, my brother wants to sell his property, I have no problem with that. It's how it's being done. He could sell it to the residential McMansion people, that would improve my property value. He sells it to this guy, he puts a parking lot adjacent to my house, which is my backyard will have a corner and I can see the building then. That's how close I'll be. I don't want that there. I don't want any intrusion anymore like everybody else says. No more parking into the residential. You want to put residential houses there? Have at it, because that will improve my property value. You put anything else, bar, restaurant, 2 restaurants, not enough parking, I will suffer because my property values will go down. My biggest problem I have is these pictures, when I show you, the ones that my nephew, by the way, showed you, these are pictures in front of his house, in front of my sister's house that gave me her time. We have the illegal parking, or say what they say, the access, this is the access way onto that other property they say he has. It's blocked off during the day, and it causes problems, and these people don't have an alcohol license. You give them an alcohol license and increase the parking there, you're gonna give us issues. Our biggest issues is traffic. The ones at Carrabba's, that's nice. Carrabba's is less than 300 people, and they got the entire parking lot, the entire block. They don't have any parking issues. They never had. Because one, I did the planning on that one too. The other one across the street that Mr. Michelini posted was redone. Now, as far as you want to keep encroaching into my neighborhood, I have an issue with that. Is there any questions that you have of me? Yes, sir.
Mr. Belli, so I'm trying to figure this out because I'm looking at the site plan. The 2 lots that are being purchased, or probably going to be purchased based on whether or not this gets zoned.
Well, that's one of the issues I have too.
That is, I mean, it looks like it is, one is owned, both Belli, or at least one is Belli. I don't know if the other
No,
one's Belli too.
they're both owned by my brother Michael, who's sitting right there.
No, right, I got you. No, I was just curious. It just, because the entire area is surrounded by your family.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I had that right.
That's just why, again, it's just not a neighborhood thing. This is a family thing now with us on that block, and it expands onward.
Yeah.
My biggest question and what I ask of y'all is responsible development.
Sure.
And this one right now is not responsible because you're giving them too many exceptions.
Right.
You want this, comply with what is required.
I got
That's
you.
all I ask.
All right.
No exceptions.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other? No, thank you.
All right, anyone else in the public wish to speak on item number 7?
Good evening. Chris Hayeswood here. I live at 3811 West Gray Street, which is roughly 200 feet from the property that's being discussed. I wanted to come and voice my opposition and speak a little bit more from a personal perspective rather than a technical one. Because of the simple fact that I live with an adjoining parking lot behind my residential home. Again, I'm very close to the property at hand, but I too have a parking lot behind us. I can attest to, I think what we need to remember are the unintended consequences of allowing a parking lot to be placed encroaching on a residential neighborhood. And what I mean by that is, there's been multiple times over the last 12 years that we've lived in this home where we've been woken up at 2, 3 in the morning because there's certain transient individuals who frequent Dale Mabry who are looking for somewhere to sleep, who can be loud, who can be intoxicated, who can throw garbage over fences. They can essentially disrespect the residential neighborhood. And what is driving them in there? Well, a nice, clean, well-kept parking lot off of Dale Mabry that provides them with privacy. But the residents are the ones who ultimately suffer. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but I absolutely love our neighborhood. I would love to see it continue to grow. But as we consider these developments, it's important to, again, remember the fact that, there are children in our neighborhood. I have a 9-month-old, and the traffic has already become atrocious. Speeding up left and right, you hear them speak about intensity. Yes, obviously that's just going to increase. So the young children in the neighborhood obviously are going to have less opportunity to walk down a sidewalk without concern. Again, what I wanted to do is reiterate the fact that there are intangible benefits to maintaining a residential community in contrast to allowing commercial development. I am a small business advocate. I'm a CPA. But you have to be responsible. That'll be it. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right.
Good evening. My name is Dawnette Arcos. I live at 3807 North B Street, which you may know is directly behind Donatello's restaurant. So I can speak firsthand as a resident that has been a butt to a parking lot my husband was born in this house. There are some facts I'd like to share with you based on my experience, and that is that there will be promises made about this landscape and beautiful wall and all of these wonderful things that will never happen. These people are in the business of running a restaurant. They could care less about the landscaping. They could care less about the walls and them being painted. In fact, if you go down North B Street right now, you will see where a customer smacked into the wall and it's laying all over the sidewalk at Donatello's. There will be broken walls. There'll be broken curbs. There'll be glass containers in your yard. There'll be illegal parking. No one wants to spend the money for the valet parking. So what they will do is skirt around the neighborhood and find their spot, and these additional spaces that you now have for these people won't be used, or valet will use them. There'll be transients and thoughtless others throwing their leftovers, drink cups, and even things like feces in bags, or In my case, I found a huge bag of used syringes over my back wall cleaning out my flower bed. I have grandchildren that play in my backyard. And this was extremely upsetting to me, to the point where I went to Donatello's about it. They illegally had their dumpsters up against the wall, and if anybody's ever walked outside of their house at night near a restaurant, you can't stand it. If the wind is blowing the wrong direction, it's unbelievable. The valet stubs, the trash that comes from both transients and the visitors to the restaurants, and even the staff at the restaurant that chooses to play soccer in the parking lot at 2 o'clock in the morning. The domestic violence cases that have happened right in my front yard. I even was fortunate enough to find an engagement ring that had been thrown up on my porch because they split up or they did whatever. There's going to be drunk guests. There's going to be these domestic arguments late at night. There's going to be the shenanigans by the staff at night, smoking dope, drinking beer, throwing their cans over the wall. Whatever it is, it's more than a parking lot being added to a restaurant and encroaching on a neighborhood is total trash. And
I want to thank you.
they're right. It's going to mess the neighborhood up.
Thank you.
Please vote no on this. Thank you for your time.
All right, if you plan on speaking, I'm going to recommend that you stand against the wall instead of having just one get up, one sit, one get up. We need to know how many we got. So if you're going to speak, we line up against the wall.
Good evening. My name is Larry Arcos. That was my wife. I live at 3807. I also own the house at 3806. I deal with Donatello's and I deal with the Don Palms next door. She's right about the trash cans. They stink. The backyard stinks. There was the Rooms to Go had an issue with the Japanese steakhouse that's in play here tonight. Donatello's used to park cars there. Nobody parks cars there anymore. There was some of their help was coming in at night. You can hear them in our home, my parents' home. We had to deal with that. Rooms to Go took care of that for us, okay? The amount of parking on both streets are horrendous. There's cars all over this area. When DePerio's built their sandwich shop on North B Street, the neighbors agreed to take the house next door to my parents down, as long as there was a buffer wall along the facing of the homes. Not Donatello's, but DePerio also agreed to maintain and landscape it. I will maintain it and I landscape it. Donatello's is a great neighbor, but it's my sprinkler system that maintains that whole strip there. Those are all my oak trees. All that is done by me, okay? Because I live there, okay? We don't need another restaurant. We don't need another parking lot in the neighborhood. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, please.
Good evening. Meredith Fisher, 3909 West Carmen Street. I just want to say the neighborhood was very excited when Yummy House converted the bank to a restaurant and the physical therapy office to their corporate office. But it's kind of seeming like this was their foot in the door, phase one, and that this 10,000 square foot restaurant was always their plan. Our neighborhood doesn't need 5,000 more square feet of Yummy House. We need a daycare. Our neighborhood is growing. There's tons of families moving in, and the South Tampa community, frankly, needs more daycares. So it has immense value in it, the way it stands, not only to our community directly, surrounding community, and to the owner of the property if they would like to sell it as a daycare. If Yummy House expands, this will set a precedence for our neighborhood. For future development into the neighborhood, And how can we protect the side that's residential? How far will we let these commercial properties go into the neighborhood? As counsel for the property mentioned, there are tons of parking lots that have been in the neighborhood for decades. Why can't we get with those properties and have a lease agreement for parking in the off hours? Why do we need another parking lot? Why can't we share what we have? Not our streets, no more street parking in the parking lots. And also something that we've been working on with our council, city council member, is the traffic and the speeding in our neighborhood. And we have had some serious conversations about the intersection of Del Mabry and Fig. The number of accidents that are happening in that location are kind of scary. We can pretty much count on the fire department and ambulances being there a minimum of once a day. And typically when the accidents occur, it is at over 45 miles an hour. So if we're going to double the capacity coming into the neighborhood, we can expect that intersection in particular is going to become even more dangerous. So we would like for you to vote no for this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, please, sir.
Good evening. My name is Michael Pelias. I own the property that's in question. I'm trying to sell to Yummy House. And I just have a few things to say. Like my good friend, the Arcuses, they had a rough deal about their property, but they didn't ever hold the people accountable for what they have to do. And as far as my good neighbor here, the parking lot he's talking about is like a hole in the wall. It's really a bad section. I mean, it's really bad the way it's set up. If it was set up like they're going to plan to set up now, there wouldn't be a problem. As far as the parking lot being there, it actually will improve the look of the neighborhood coming into it. As far as parking on the street, that parking lot will eliminate any kind of problem parking on the street at all. It'll take care of it. And as far as my brother, he couldn't see the building from this house anyway. He's got a 7-foot fence. For him to see it, he'd have to climb up on a ladder and look. And David John, I know he's worried about parking in front of his house and all that kind of stuff, but if the parking lot was there, that wouldn't happen. And on Gray Street, you can't even tell there's even a, can I show this? You can't even tell there's a restaurant or anything there. The problem with this street is people drive real fast to try to beat that traffic light. And they also complain about the restaurant being there. 100 feet away, they got a massage parlor. They got a smoke shop. Why don't they complain about that? And I know I have a vested interest in it. I own the daycare, and I'm ready to retire. And these gentlemen from Yummy House offered to buy my property, which I'm willing to sell to them if you allow them to put a parking lot there. If not, I'm still working the daycare. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And ma'am, were you wanting to speak? Yes, please. Okay. Does anyone else wish to speak here, just to make sure so we know how many folks want to speak? Okay. You will be the last one, it appears, ma'am. Go ahead.
My name's Alice Pasquarelli. I reside at 3815 Fig Street. It's interesting, all those little pictures they had up there. The daycare that they're talking about is the house I grew up in. Again, family. I've lived on that block 62 years. Lived on Fig Street, lived on Gray Street, lived on Fig Street, now here for 42 years. I understand my brother is getting old. He wants to retire, sell, not a problem. It's not gonna affect him on that Gray Street side. It's gonna affect us. It affects us now. If this continues and that expansion goes on with what Yummy House will do, they're gonna go 10,000 square feet, not the 5. I feel like I'm being bullied out of my neighborhood. The food smell is awful, the noise is awful, and it's just gonna get worse. I've seen it. Again, I'm glad somebody finally mentioned the traffic accidents that happened there on Fig and Del Mabry. I live on that street. I don't even go down that street anymore. I'll go around the corner to the traffic light just because of that. And I'm just asking you to say no to this and no to the liquor license because we want to keep our neighborhood intact. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Rebuttal by Mr. Michelini.
Council, we've tried to be sensitive to the addition of a parking lot for an existing building that half of it can't even be used because we can't meet the current parking codes. We were fortunate in that we negotiated to be able to use the first floor only with the existing parking. The codes changed from when it was originally designed, and that's what's necessitating us to come in here and ask for the addition of a parking area. It's site plan controlled. It cannot become commercial development. It has to remain a parking lot with the accesses that are shown. We can't change any of that without coming back to you with City Council to ask for a change. Mr. Pillais that is selling this part of the daycare center that's to be removed also owns that property right there to the rear or to the north side. He also owns the property directly across the street. So the ones that we're talking about being impacted are they're relatively minor. This property here has an accessory structure that takes up about 3/4 of the back. It's a pool house or some kind of a accessory structure. There's only about 20 feet that's even exposed, and we're going to cover that entire area all the way around here, and then we're going to turn the corner here with a 6-foot masonry block wall covered with vines that I showed you like that. And then the only reason we're not putting a masonry wall along Fig Street is because the Tampa Police Department asked us to keep it open so that you could see through it. We're proposing basically 3-foot high. It's low height lighting in the parking lot, so the parking lot is lit, but none of that light spills out over across any of the fences or into any other residential areas. We're preserving the trees that we were asked to preserve along here. We don't have any choice regarding the entryway of the building. It is structurally designed to be over here. And with respect to the uses that were there, OP1 allows a restaurant, but it doesn't allow us to come in here to request a parking lot. That's why we're requesting a PD plan that will address that. The situation, I mean, we're situated on Del Mabry. I don't know what else. This is heavily intensive development on Del Mabry. It carries the highest land use classification in the city with regional mixed use 100. What else are you going to do? I mean, I don't like having to come before you and say, you know, we want to encroach in the neighborhood. We have to tear down a house or tear down a daycare center to meet the code. If it were a vacant lot, it would be a different story. It's not a vacant lot. It's an existing building that we're trying to, as sensitively as we can, address the code and provide for the parking that's required. 67 spaces are required. We managed to get 67 spaces in there. The DOT gave us the accesses and limited us to a driveway that we're not going to change. The same access that we have today remains in the future. It was previously classified in terms of the city classifications, medical office and office. Those uses can't there's no way of even meeting those requirements now. Medical office is 6 per 1,000. And restaurant is 0.25 per person. We have an occupancy of 268 persons, and we have a parking provision for 67 spaces. We've met with natural resources. We've tried to maintain the buffers as best we could. There's a 10-foot buffer, landscape buffer on the north, an 8-foot buffer on the west that's landscaped and with a masonry wall. So again, this is not a commercial encroachment. This is a limited use, strictly classified and restricted to a parking lot. And we have to maintain it. So the issues about not maintaining it are just simply not accurate. If it becomes in disrepair of any kind, we have to repair it. And we have to maintain the landscaping. It has to be situated with irrigation that treats it fairly and maintains it.
Ms. Capini.
Yes. You could leave that up there, please. Okay. When you brought up the examples of the parking lots,
Yes.
immediately I knew how long those had been there.
Yes.
I've lived my entire life here. As a matter of fact, I lived on 4108 North B for 5 years. I know this neighborhood very well. Then you showed us the Wright's Gourmet.
Yes.
The difference is Wright's Gourmet closes at what time? 5, 4? That's the difference there. Yes, it is new. It's added. But they close early. This is not being proposed to be closed early. And I'm looking at this neighborhood. I know this neighborhood, and its transition is getting more residential, better, not better, but larger homes, newer. Let me use that word, newer homes. I have an issue with the encroachment of adding more. Let me ask Ms. Samiego, on this parking, the 5,000 square feet that they do have, that's existing restaurant?
Yes?
Is that, the parking that they have now, why is that restaurant existing and that parking, if that's not sufficient parking?
It's sufficient parking per code.
Okay, fine, then it's done. It's done.
For the existing first floor of the restaurant.
Right. So then why, because they're gonna put the corporate, they're gonna seal off the top floor, but yet they want more parking?
No, ma'am, they're current, it's a
Stop.
two-story.
I'm not
Me?
you. Somebody back there is waving hands and I'm like getting distracted. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just trying to clear.
Yes.
It's a two-story building.
Right.
Currently, they have occupancy for a restaurant, no alcohol on the first floor only. The city did not give them occupancy for the second floor because they could not meet parking. So
Okay.
now they're coming forward to expand the parking lot to meet the required parking, to expand the restaurant into the second floor, which is now empty.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Suarez?
Ms. Samiego, since you're up there, I might as well ask you the question. She was going along the lines that I was thinking about, and I just have an additional question based on it. So the OP1 designation, essentially it is to have an office building that then has a secondary use, which is the restaurant on the first floor. I mean, typically when we're looking at, office buildings, especially low-grade, not high-rises, but low-rise types of buildings, they'll have some place typically there to provide some kind of food, sometimes it's a restaurant. In order for this to meet the requirement of what the OP1 was, what was the parking requirement for that when it was first rezoned? Was there any waiver at that time or not?
Let me.
I don't know, because it's 2003, I know.
Okay, so OP1 allows for a myriad of uses, including
Right.
standalone restaurants. So there does not have to be any office element.
Okay, then
to
you've
the
answered one of my
existing
questions.
use. So you could have a standalone restaurant in OP1, you could have a retail store, you could have a supermarket in OP1.
Got it.
So it's not just solely for office professional uses.
I forgot the second part of your question.
Second part is that what's the required parking for this on the original site?
Yeah, the OP1, I mean, there was no site plan, it says Euclidean zoning district. So as I
Euclidean,
stated
okay.
to Ms. Capeen, when they came in to occupy this building 10, 11, 12 years ago,
Mhm.
they were limited on their occupancy based on the parking they could fit that was existed when the overall structure used to be a bank.
Do you know how many spaces are available now on their site?
I believe that there's 30, we just counted them, 39,
There's 39, and I think
not including the valet that's
right.
up. Right.
And I think Mr. Michelini had mentioned that it's probably 30 that they're now currently renting out.
Right.
Or not renting out, but I mean, that they have a
Leasing.
contract with, yeah.
Right.
Okay, that's what I was curious about,
Mhm.
because it seems that if they wanted to, and again, you can't do it this way unless you provide the additional land because you don't have
Right.
the property. They have enough parking by agreement with
Mhm.
what they have now
Right.
for both of them, but they can't do it legally because they have to change the zoning to a PD
Mhm.
in order to provide
To
that.
expand the
that-
parking lot
I
back.
wanted to get that straight in my
Mhm.
head because, one of the things that we keep seeing is, I know that there's plenty of parking there
Mhm.
based on what he told me, based on what that building currently has. But then I wanted to make sure that I was correct, that
Mhm.
that's the reason for the zoning. It
Right.
wasn't because they were in violation, it wasn't because of any other issue, it was because of that.
Right, the catalyst for the rezoning is the special use. I mean, if they could have met all the code, it would have been a special use 2 application we had before you, but because of
Right.
acknowledging some of the existing conditions based on it is an existing building and
Yeah, they
the
can't
existing
open up,
parking lot, they had to do a PD to ask for the additional.
yeah, they can't open up that second floor
Floor
for,
without the
for a
parking
restaurant
lot. Long
without
story short,
additional.
right.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure about, because I knew
Yep.
that there was enough parking for both spaces,
Mhm.
but there was a legal issue as opposed to.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure I was straight on that. I appreciate it.
Any other questions for me?
Okay.
Thank you.
If I could, Councilman, there's only enough parking for the first floor. There's not enough parking to open the second floor for any use currently. The parking that's provided on site only meets one level.
No, I understand that.
Okay,
I
all
was
right.
talking about it on-site in conjunction with the
Yeah, one of the-
parking you have in agreement, which meets essentially the 67 spaces that you need. But
It's
you
true.
can't do that because it is not an on-site.
It's not permanent.
Right. No, no, I-
365, 24/7. And one of the speakers said, why can't you share parking? Well,
Yeah.
the code doesn't allow you to do it.
No, I know that. That's what, I want to make sure I was right about that, and that's the reason for the rezone to begin with, so.
Thank you. Okay, so when they moved in, there was 5,000 square feet to be used, and they had the parking. Then they have access to other parking, but that is not, cannot be counted. I understand that, totally. What I have an issue with is encroaching in the neighborhood and changing the complexion of where that neighborhood is going. And that is a very big issue for me in adding more parking. I know there's parking there that encroaches into neighborhood, but it's been there for a very long time. This is new, and that's not where the neighborhood, again, I have to consider that neighborhood and how it's developing, and it ain't developing commercial, and it ain't developing parking. And when they moved in there, they knew it was 5,000 square feet, and they knew exactly the amount of parking they had. And they knew the rules. They knew them.
Well, they bought the building, and it was 10,000 square feet. And what they discovered was that they couldn't utilize vested parking for the medical office that was upstairs and the bank downstairs. So, I mean, the city made a determination that they couldn't occupy both floors unless we added parking. And I think, it is a hardship to not be able to occupy the second floor at all. And as I said, if you were starting from scratch If you were starting from scratch and you had this entire parcel,
Stop right there.
okay,
They knew when they moved in to those 5,000 square feet that this was what they had to park. They knew it. So now they want to expand, and they want to expand into the neighborhood. That is what I'm looking at. And the complexion of that neighborhood is not commercial in any stretch of the imagination. It is a very established neighborhood, and it's moving in the direction that many of these people talked about. We've heard this over and over again in different neighborhoods, and I'm gonna look at this, and I'll wait for the rest of my colleagues to speak, and then I'll let you know what I'm gonna do.
And real quick, just to echo some of the sentiments that have already been expressed up here, you know, we can look at the other parcels, and we can look at what was done in the past and learn from it. And moving forward, because this is new or a new addition, we have to think about smart growth and development. And we have the opportunity to make that decision tonight. The word encroaching has been used. I agree with that. And in the direction of where this neighborhood is going, you know, we have the opportunity tonight to make sure that we make a wise decision for how we want to see this go forward. So having said that, anybody else?
All right, any further comments? The motion to close public hearing?
if I could make one more comment.
No, sir, you don't have.
Okay, that's fine.
So we could grant you more
That's all right.
time than you had, okay. Got a motion from Mr. Maniscalco, second by Mr. Miranda. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, pleasure, council. Item number 7.
I need the,
If I can
what I need
direct
to
you,
deny, where I need to,
generally,
verbiage.
if I can generally guide you to page 5 of your staff report, you do have section 27-136, and you have criteria there, 1 through
Thank you.
9, and my suggestion would be, whatever findings you make, apply it to that particular subsection that, if it's your decision to deny, to cite that section and your basis for your findings as to why that's not met. If that is your intention.
You told me on page 5?
Page 6, excuse me, on page 5 of the staff report, on
I know on
item 7,
That's the last one.
it's also the amended
Does
staff
anybody
report
else
that
have-
was,
Here it is.
it's the amended staff report that was distributed
got
to
it.
you.
No? Here, it's right here.
Why don't I? Here it is. Okay, sorry, I was looking, I'm sorry. My pages got stuck together and I couldn't see. Yeah. This right here, okay. Thank
So
you.
you could just go through that and just,
Okay.
find out which section you have want to make specific findings.
Okay, we have, section 27-136. Promote efficient and sustainable use of land and infrastructure with careful consideration potential adverse impacts on on-site natural elements of surrounding impact neighborhoods and cultural resources. Then we have provide, section 3, provide procedure which can relate the type, design, and layout of residential, non-residential development to particular site. No, not applicable, I'm sorry, that's not the one I want. Knowledge, changing needs, technologies, economics, and consumer preferences allows for ingenuity and imagination in the planning, development of relatively large tracts of under unified control, as well as allowing flexibility and redevelopment of older areas of the city. That's not available either. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this. Promote and encourage development where, let me go see here. Nope, okay. Yep, here. Promote the intention and reuse of existing building stock. Yes, okay. Thank you. 1 through 9, section, instead of reading each one of them, except for the ones that are not applicable, which is promote and encourage development where appropriate in location, character, compatibility with surrounding impacted neighborhoods, built environment, and existing geography. The subject application proposes the expansion of an existing site on one lot further west of further west of parking lot expansion, and the lot is currently zoned residential and has a daycare use. The site modification is proposed to alleviate existing deficiencies on the property and allow for improved circulation. Staff has concerns that this proposal introduces aspects of a commercial use further in the neighborhood. However, the restaurant is seeking expansion within the existing structure. Is that good? Is that enough?
And your finding then is that the competent substantial evidence that you've heard at this public hearing supports that criteria that you've mentioned has not been met?
Absolutely. It supports it. Thank you.
All right, we got a motion from Ms. Capeen, seconded by Mr. Suarez. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The motion carried with Cohen being absent.
Okay, let me ask you, with the rezoning being voted down, do we still go to special use on 6?
What is the pleasure with
If we
regard?
could have a few minutes to talk with the city attorney about what to do with the other pending petition.
Are we gonna need a recess?
Let's do it.
Thank you for your
Rebecca Kurt, Legal Department. The alcohol permit cannot go forward tonight, so it appears the best item is to continue it forward. He's not sure exactly how long he needs. If it goes past 180 days, you have to find extraordinary circumstances. So I would suggest you either find extraordinary circumstances and put it out another 90 days. We don't have to calculate whether that's 180, that's just safe. Or you continue it out 30 days, and then with the understanding he may not be ready at that point.
Ms. Hurt, so is it safe to say that we could put a placeholder date for the continuation, and then he can come back at that time to determine whether or not he has enough time?
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct. I only say that because I wouldn't want him to be penalized if he comes back and says he doesn't have enough time, and then have people mad at him in advance. He may not have enough time.
And so, Mr. Michelini, is there a time frame for item number 6, which is AB 2-19-02, as a continuation? Are you requesting a continuation, first of all?
Yes, sir, I am. The problem that we have is that it's complicated because the site plan wasn't approved. So I would request that extraordinary circumstances are present and request 90 days.
Okay, 90 days would place you, I believe, June 27th, is that correct? Or am I wrong about the date?
I don't have a calendar in front of me.
Okay, well, I'm just thinking about 90 days, so you're talking about, about 90, isn't it? Am I right? Okay, so I'll make the motion to continue the item number 6. Again, clerk, that's the AB 2-19-02 section, to 6 p.m. on June 27th of 2019.
All right, got a motion from Mr. Suarez, seconded by Mr. Moran. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, counsel.
Okay, motion carried. Read this when we get to it. Mr. Suarez.
Yes, sir.
Anything good for the cause?
No, sir.
Ms. Maniscalco.
Yes, sir, I have one item. I'd like to make a motion requesting the Planning Commission setting plan amendment adoption hearings for TA CPA 18-16 and TA CPA 18-18 on the evening of April 11, 2019 at 5:30 p.m.
All right, got a motion from Ms. Maniscalco, seconded by Mr. Suarez. All in favor of that motion say aye. Any opposed? Anything else, sir?
No, sir.
Ms. Capeen.
No, sir.
Mr. Miranda. Mr. Viera.
Second.
We got a motion from Ms. Miranda, second by Ms. Capino. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we send you.
All right.